its role in promoting culture.
Today's celebrations align perfectly with the bottom-up economic transformation agenda BETTER, which also emphasizes the government's commitment to fostering the growth of the creative economy. The Constitution further recognizes culture as the foundation of our nation, as articulated in Article 11 of the Constitution of Kenya, which acknowledges culture as a cumulative civilization of the people of Kenya.
She further urged Kenyans, especially the youth in the country, to embrace culture as one way of promoting tourism.
As we celebrate this day, let it be a reminder of our commitment to loving and supporting brand Kenya and our diverse cultures. Let us take the initiative to explore different counties, immerse ourselves in their unique cultures, and contribute to the growth of domestic tourism in our great and beautiful country. I implore our people, and especially the youth, to embrace our culture wholeheartedly.
Public Service CS Moses Kuria says culture needs to be seen as a symbol of peace and unity in the country. Speaking during the Tamaduni Day celebrations at the Bomas of Kenya, Kuria said that by doing so, it would assist in addressing insecurity in some parts of the country.
Try to get the best of that culture, to use culture for peacemaking. Our people, our ancestors knew exactly when to make peace and when to make war. When I look at what is happening in places like Kapendo, in the Kerio Valley, in Lamu County, where something very close to ethnic cleansing is taking place, if we could use our institutions of cultural resolution to the disputes, we can be able to use our elders and save Professor Kindiki the guns, the bullets, the men, and the machines that he is deploying, trying to bring peace to our country.
Kuria's further called on Kenyans to protect their cultural practices, especially those that gave them a sense of belonging.
Let us also learn about preservation of our cultural institutions, our heritage, our religious places. And I'm saying this in relation to the very unfortunate war that is taking place in Israel and Palestine. That war is bad and war should be condemned. But even more vehemently is that people who choose to do the wrong things and go to war should respect our cultural buildings, our cultural institutions, our religious institutions, and really ask yourself if these things were totally destroyed by the previous generations, which were also going to war, we would not have found them today.
Mental health expert Tunu Ngeno says the highest number of people suffering from mental illness are men. Ngeno says this is because men are raised in culture that doesn't allow them to express their emotions, as by doing so, they'll turn out as weak.
Men have the ability to be vulnerable. They have it in them. They have emotions. I mean, they're human beings. But society imewasukuma kuamini kwamba you're a man, don't cry, you're a man, you should be strong as a man. What do you mean be strong as a man? This is a human being that has feelings, ambaye anasumbuka na vitu kama vile ambavyo unasumbuka na vitu pia. And I have seen through experience, my clients that are men, when they come in, inakuwa shida sana wao kufunguka.
Ngeno further urged Kenyans to go for regular mental health checkups, as it helps arrest the ailment before it gets out of hand.
Ningependa kuambia watu kwamba this is something that inafaa kuwa a part of you. Ni kitu ambayo unafaa kushughulikia kila wakati. Hufai kungoja ifike mpaka sasa hawezi kufunction, kwa sababu mental illnesses does that to a person. Inaweza kukufikisha kiwango ambacho hawezi hata kufunction.
Now, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta has expressed concern over the escalation of fights and displacements in the Eastern DRC. Uhuru, the EAC peace facilitator in the process, called for an immediate ceasefire between the warring parties. This, he said, will pave the way for continued unhindered and sustained humanitarian access and give a chance to a return of peace pursuit and a non-military solution to the crisis in the region. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside. Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping up.
You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
One of Salam used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Hey, Manda. Hey, Manda.
so 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes?
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aye, City, do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda. I mean, I don't understand. What are they saying?
How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So
See?
Your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning and welcome to Wednesday. It's the middle of the week and very different from yesterday. We're already seeing traffic building in different parts of the city today. On the Thika Superhighway, it's starting to come in heavy towards the CBD, and we're looking at some movement coming out of Westlands. And an eye on all of this as we get properly into the morning. Coming onto Uhuru Highway and then out into the city, out towards Westlands, we'll see some movement there as well. We're going to keep an eye on things through the morning. Let's talk Spice FM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room the only way to start
Good
your day.
morning. At 10 minutes after 6 o'clock. It's what? It's the 11th of October. And it's what? It is Wednesday. In the middle of the week. And here we are giving you the after effects of Utamaduni Day. I love the way that rolls off my tongue. Utamaduni Day. And hoping everybody is doing well. I'm in the presence of the loveliest of gentlemen this morning. Siti's doing the thing with the bag. And Eric, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't help you. But, I'm not quite sure what he's up to. But, we'll just let him do his thing for a minute. And welcoming everybody to the show this morning. Why are you frowning your face? Why are you franking your face?
Ni maisha tu. Ni hali tu ya maisha.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'm so happy post Utamaduni Day.
Post, yes.
You like how that
you
rolls off your
Christmas Day.
tongue.
I know. It's like you have Christmas Day, you have Boxing Days, then you have Utamaduni Day, then you have the day after.
Baby girl, let me tell you. Today is the International Day of the Girl Child.
Yay.
Okay? How do you like that? How does it roll off your tongue?
I like the way you started the statement, I must say. Yes.
Happy International Day of the Girl Child.
I'm a girl child.
Ndio, sio ni baby girl.
Bas. Kuisha mimi. It's over.
Mambo ama ni aje?
Ni hivyo tu.
Bas. Ama Siti, what did you say?
I would say that I'm in agreement.
Very good.
From Siti's part of the world, they'll say, a girl what?
A girl toto.
Baby.
Girl baby. Hey. Otherwise, Siti?
Otherwise, niko sawa. Yes.
Ati ulisema hii El Nino inakuja inafika lini?
Iko tu.
This heat bwana.
That precedes it.
What?
These warm winds, sometimes they're really genuinely warm to the point of being actually hot. Sometimes they're warm just the point of being warm, but they're the precursor. Yes.
No, but it's generally hot, man. I woke up at night, I was like, wait, am I in Lagos? Like, no, actually, I'm in Nairobi.
And it's hot, eh?
No, it is hot. It is hot. But sometimes even in the middle of the day or just early afternoon, man, it gets very uncomfortably hot.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty hot. Sana. Anyway, it's not like we'd like that very extreme rain to come. Because that will also come with its own things, man. Boy, we shall be remembering these warm days.
Who?
So when the rain comes,
okay.
You'd say, those days which were warm were not that bad. It was just warm.
Do you remember?
Yes.
It's just raining and water everywhere and
movement is restricted.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes are flying everywhere.
Vermin.
Wow.
Yes.
Hey. Mungu atusaidie.
We wouldn't not be completely human if we didn't complain about everything. Yes.
Anyway, good morning, everybody. Let me tell you what we'll be discussing this lovely Wednesday. At 7 a.m., we'll be joined by Didmus Barasa. He's the MP for Kimilili constituency. Wrangles within Kenya Kwanza. Are there wrangles or are they not? Is it the beginning of the end of political coalitions?
A lot.
It's far-reaching, isn't it?
It's rich.
Yeah?
Well, they say, how else do you know that we are stretching the subject if we do
completely?
Not do stretch it.
Sawa. So Didmus anyway will be here. We've seen there are wrangles within Kenya Kwanza. There are some people who have accused the Secretary General of UDA of being a mole of ODM.
This is bizarre. The bizarrest of things.
Is it? Is it wrangles
the
within...
The bizarrest of things is possible, my friend.
Yes, is it wrangles within UDA or is it wrangles within the factions of leaders in Western Kenya who happen to be in UDA?
That's something interesting.
Yes.
Didmus is from Western, he'll come. We'll ask him that question directly. At 8 o'clock, let's look at what's been happening in Shakahola. What's the latest, by the way, from Shakahola?
So, there's a couple of things. 425 is the body count so far. 95, those
exhumed
bodies put in this cooler. Now, they're in level 5, stage 5 of exhumation. We do not know the numbers yet. They're saying that they are wrapping up on then being families being allowed to then take their their dead for burial, but that has not happened yet.
Okay.
But the Red Cross currently is trying to expand this storage freezer area because more bodies are coming in.
Okay.
So confirmed 425.
Okay.
Senate committee is asking for more time for probe and investigation.
Okay.
And as of the 10th of August, the state asked for 47 more days to hold Mackenzie.
Okay.
So we're still in that period.
How many listed as missing?
600 are still missing. And these have been identified by
600 are recorded as missing.
Recorded as missing
How
and
many
identified by Kenya Red Cross as linked to Shakahola. So it's not just some random people
There's
come
some
and say, my guy is
likelihood
missing.
that this person is in.
Exactly.
But how many identified?
425 have been identified.
Identified or exhumed?
So 425 have been exhumed. 319 have been identified.
So 600 and something minus 319 leaves us with some 200 plus.
No.
No, it's more.
There's a list. Okay, let's do it like this, okay?
600 people.
600 people have
missing.
Are still missing.
Still.
Okay?
No, total number recorded missing is 600.
No, total number recorded missing is above 1,000. Do you understand?
No, I don't.
Okay, let me do it like this. There are 425 bodies that have been exhumed.
Yes.
And they have been put in the storage area.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Of that 425, 319 have been identified. XO.
It's so and so.
400 and this minus
319. Now, those ones that they don't know, because some of them have been... They have deteriorated so much that they could not identify.
And others...
okay? Now, there's still exhumation going on.
That's true.
Okay.
Pause for a second. Let's just clarify it. 400 plus exhumed.
426.
300
identified. Positively identified.
So balance of that
unidentified.
Okay.
But the number was 400.
Yes.
Okay.
Packet.
And there's still people who have come to Red Cross and said, my person is missing, my person is missing, my person is missing. And there's a linkage between my person missing and Shakahola.
Okay.
That number is 600.
Bas, that's where I was.
Yeah.
So 600 people are on a list of missing people.
Yes.
Out of that 600, 317 have been identified.
No. This is apart from those who have already been positively identified.
So what is the total number of people that have been recorded as missing to the Red Cross?
919.
I see.
You get it? Yeah.
Hey, anyway, let's have that conversation at 8 o'clock. At 9 a.m., Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir is the governor of Mombasa County. He'll be joining us. There's been this whole talk about the ports and giving out some concessions for some services at the port of Mombasa, the port of Lamu, maybe the port of Kisumu. Concessioning of the ports in Kenya and the politics of 2027 is what we'll be discussing with the governor of Mombasa at 9 a.m. This is the conversation that's lined up for today. Iko sawa? Iko sawa. Live streaming on our usual platforms, YouTube and Facebook. As we do this, 18 minutes after 6, let us know where you're tuned in from. Ndu will tell us how the weather is going to look like today in Kenya and around the world.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning at 16 degrees, highs of 26 and lows of 14. It's partly cloudy at 14 in Nakuru. We'll see highs of 26 and 25 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Nyeri at 16. It's 14 and cloudy in Eldoret with highs of 25. We'll see lows of 14. And looking into a cloudy Mombasa at 24, we'll see highs of 30. It's 24 and mostly clear in Malindi, highs of 30. And looking into Kisumu at 20 degrees, cloudy conditions with highs of 29. 27 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kakamega, currently at 19. And at 19, it's raining again in Kampala. Highs of 25 and lows of 18 and mostly clear at 23. In Dar es Salaam, we'll see highs of 29. Johannesburg will see highs of 24. It's currently cloudy at 16. Lagos, raining at 26 this morning, highs of 31. And into a partly cloudy Kinshasa at 24 with highs of 33. Sunny conditions in Beijing going into Wednesday afternoon, highs of 24 and lows of 11. And it's partly cloudy at 12 in Paris with highs of 26. London is cloudy at 16. We'll see highs of 22. Tuesday night is reading clear in New York. Coming into Wednesday, highs of 19 and lows of 10.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
That's it.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Kabwanji CT, Eric and Ndu. How was Moi Huduma Utamaduni Day? Everything rolled in one. Ndu, please, the song. Which song do you want me to sing? Just tell me the song and I'll sing it. CT, help Ndu find a song to sing. Sawa? Okay. Don Salva says good morning. James Sekento tuning in from Kirarapon. Sir George Gashoiri. Ndu, Ednah. Good morning. CT and Eric, keep up the good work. Good morning all. Tuning in from Boston, Massachusetts. Good morning, Situation Room, watching from Singapore. And you say you're a Filipino, Jewish from Philippines. Please pray for the Middle East. Well, yes, indeed. Watching you from the twin cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul in Minnesota. Have a great day, says Evans Magari. Alex is right here. He has announced himself. Good morning, Alex. Tune in from London, Ontario in Canada. You guys are great. Thank you, Karaoke. The 2000. Good morning. High five for CT. Tafadhali CT fanya hivi kwa hewa. Thank you very much.
High five.
Thank you. Jeffrey Mogaka says he's watching from Loitoktok. Your place.
Mogaka.
However, all of you, he's not saying hello to you. He said he's saying hello to Ednah.
Ednah.
So, yeah, she has shown you the love sign. Do with that as you wish. Chris Adede says good morning. Eric into CT. I'm tuning from Utawala. Keep up the good work. Jimmy Wekes says tune in this morning. And Joseph Nderi says this has become his best morning refresher. Always looking forward to the Proverbs. John Kangu says good morning, Team Spice. Hey? Ntaka cha mfunguni sharti ainame. Ainame.
Bend.
Oh, ainame.
Lakini ambia John Changu si mfunguni.
Ni?
Mvunguni.
Mvu.
Sawa. John umeambiwa ni mvunguni.
Ni fu, si fu. Ile ya fi, si ya f.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Of course you do.
Yes, I do.
Ni fi.
Sawa, ni fi fi fu fam. Joe Mungai.
Fi for violence.
Oh, that fee. Okay. Joe Mungai is tuning in from Washington. Hi, in the city, Latiff. My heart goes out to the innocent civilians in Palestine and Israel who've lost their lives. In war, there is never a winner. That's true. Edward Munil says good morning. Brian Otieno is tuning from Abu Dhabi. Tuning from New York is Top Links. And Kivon Nyayo says good morning, everybody. Linus is here, says good morning. Mombasa is tuned in. And that's where Dr. Venvik is tuned in from Twitter. Robert Mbogo says good morning. Guten Morgen, Spices. Indeed, good morning to you. David Sindio tuned in from Copenhagen. Cyprian is also tuned in. Steve Menya, my favorite peeps. Undulatif and Act on the Radio, 254, tuned in from Jamaica. Yaman. Dave Lubale says good morning. Eric, wewe ni maths. Huh? Wewe na maths were not friends. Ata kidogo. Atake. The math ain't mathing.
Math ain't mathing.
Philip Churchier, good morning. Great house for info. Karibu sana. George, USA is where Maxwell Mukiri is. Amayo Okoh is tuned in. Mambo ni matatu, Matthew says. Maxwell Mukiri, best morning show ever. Guys, thank you for joining us this morning. Karibu sana.
Rutherford Maganga says good morning to everybody. Of course, our guy, Kaiser Obed, is also tuned in.
Ding, ding.
City, fanya namna hiyo.
That is call to duty. Right. We are still in the country of
Tanzania.
If you find a new port, C-P-O-R-T, pot, P-O-T, pot, never throw away the old one.
If you what? If you find a new port, not pot.
Not P-O-R-T, okay?
Never throw away the old one.
Yes, and this is a vessel that is used for storage and for cooking. It isn't part of the human anatomy. It's not pot belly. Okay?
Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Ni sawa bwana. Nasikia? Haya, usitukane nani? Hali kizazi kingalipo.
All these goals.
Usiache mbachao kwa msala upitao. Kuna mambo ya nini? Usiatukane maembe nazi, usitukane nazi, maembe ni ya msimu. Hayo yote.
Na ukiamaliza yote bandu isha gogoni.
Wadfa.
Chamkuu na huu. Chamkufu huu.
Wadfa. Sawa, hata wewe.
All right. Haya, headlines.
Facing Uhuru is what's on the front page of the Standard. Why? After spending 5 years bashing his predecessor, the president and his deputy appear to have a change of mind and are heaping praises on a man they have loved to hate. What is afoot? And why the change? I'll read those quotes from President William Ruto. I must congratulate my predecessor, President Uhuru Kenyatta, for his foresight in coming up with this Kisumu shipyard refurbishment. To see what we are seeing here is what? Phenomenal.
Wow.
Rigathi Gachagua, this is what he said. The elections are over. It is time to gather and unite our people. Just realize this, okay. We have agreed that no leader will pelt former President Uhuru Kenyatta with stones because he's still our son. Tower. Okay. NSSF, the National Social Security Fund, their 2 billion shilling mere paper land goes up in smoke. You ask what? Well, yes, we shall tell you later. Audit. CA told to recover millions from senior team. So the senior team did things as they like, according to this. Go and buy a house, get a mortgage.
CA
like
is
that.
who?
Sorry. Communications Authority. Sawa. So, you know, the whole hullabaloo about, you know, whether the DG did or did not, you know, award himself a mortgage, did or did not award himself a loan that should not have been. They did not follow due diligence. Now, they've been told, you know what? From this senior team of people who are misbehaving, bring back the money. We'll look at the details of that.
Who's told them to bring back the money?
The Auditor General. I'll tell you the details just now.
Okay.
Utamaduni Day started as Moi Day, and then went to Uduma Day, and then now Utamaduni. The nation is looking at Moi's last days and talks about when former President Daniel Arap Moi started experiencing difficulty in walking in 2017. It sparked concern from his personal doctor, David Silverstein, and his family, and thus began the deterioration of Mzee's health that saw him flown to Israel for his final medical religious trip. Then followed the ups and downs in his treatment journey until he breathed his last in February 2020. You can read about this and more in the final installment of Heartbeat, an American cardiologist in Kenya. Some of the headlines there. How Ruto visit exposed the soft underbelly of ODM rebels. Okay. The First Lady is in a push for Kenya to get a national dress. Sawa.
National dress.
Yeah.
Sawa.
So please, hurry up.
Oh, this has been there before.
It has. There's been a whole thing. There was a campaign. There was a competition.
50 million shillings worth of competition.
Corporates funded it. People came up with ideas.
You know, the good thing about this suggestion is that it tells you these things are dynamic. Yes, we had one many years ago. It's time for a revamp, isn't it?
What's the Kenya national dress?
See, what?
I'm asking.
Okay.
What the First Lady was wearing
yesterday. The green one. It's fine, sure.
What our First Lady is wearing, that is the national day of the season.
Of the day. Like if she wears it today, that's the national dress.
Essentially go with the flow.
Oh, yes. Okay. No wahala.
Any other questions?
No, please. I'm okay. For now, I'll read the story for you later. Now, governors are saying, El Nino is coming. Give us the money. In time. Don't waste our time. Don't let the rain start falling. Then you want to give us money. No, give us now.
What can you do without the money?
2 weeks ago, EACC told governors, you guys, you see this El Nino money? If we even hear, pim, that you even took one coin and you did not appropriate it to El Nino, we're coming for you.
May I remind you of something?
Please do.
We had something, no relation of El Nino whatsoever. COVID-19 was the name. Money was allocated. Do you remember the fiasco? Do you remember the fiasco?
Yes.
Beds, desks taken from schools to some health facility. Remember the fiasco?
Yeah.
All sorts of stories. They were never resolved to date. Okay? So what makes you think that this El Nino thing is going to be different? And that one was a life-threatening situation. There were no jokes about it.
Yeah.
And the same noise is being made by the counties is being made. And when asked, guys, this amount of money had been set aside, it was given to you. What did you guys do with it? Well,
Oh yeah,
yes,
and had to buy water, jerry cans.
Yes, built a hospital, started building an ICU, started.
We had to look for oxygen.
Yes,
Truly, you guys.
difficult thing, man. You know? Yes. So, what makes El Nino different?
Nothing.
Nada.
Sisakaja launched a whole campaign at Uhuru Park.
Green wheelbarrows.
With, wheelbarrows with hundreds of youth who are now going to be employed to clean our
Unclogging
streets.
drainages.
Have you seen them?
After that day.
Yeah.
Well.
Have you seen them?
No.
Just go to South B here in South B. Look at the drainages. Look at garbage. In South B here.
It's strewn all over the landscape.
Yeah.
There's
We
much
have
change.
a team that is unclogging drainages.
Where are they
ahead of El
unclogging
Nino.
drainages? You know, remember this Kazi kwa vijana thing? You used to see guys.
Yeah.
You would see them doing something. I would have expected that by now we had a plan. They're in this area this week.
Yeah.
Then they're going to this area. Or there are several teams. And this is how they're covering it. Then it would make sense, wouldn't
And
it?
there's an entire conversation. So neighborhood, working in the neighborhood associations.
Yes.
Let's work together on cleaning up. And trucks will come to collect the garbage on
Yes.
It's actually not rocket science to figure
No,
out.
it isn't. Do you hear it? Look, Rwanda have a day.
Sanitation.
Even
Even
no
Nigeria.
driving. People walk.
Every first Saturday of the month.
Exactly.
Is environmental sanitation.
Yes. Does it work? Yes. Does it ensure that everyone knows that the neighborhood is clean? Yes. What's so difficult about this?
Nothing.
Ask General Buddy. He tried to come up with an idea like that.
What? How dare you tell us what to do on Saturday morning? Are you mad?
Usitupangie maisha
Mazee,
yetu
bana.
mabuibui bwana. I'm in the front line of that though. Kuja hapa kuniambia ati clean your environment.
You're in the front line, huh?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. No, don't let frontline affect you.
Please, frontline. What's
Let
the
me tell you
headline?
what's Business Daily. NTSA rejects Bolt's license renewal on driver protests. There's a taxi company hailing app called Bolt.
Where?
Kenyan transport regulator has declined to renew the license of tax-hailing company Bolt over alleged breaches, including illegal commission charges and booking fee, dealing the Estonian firm a blow as it lines up fresh investment to expand its reach in the local market. Bolt had written to NTSA seeking renewal of its operating license, with days left to expiry. But the regulator declined the request, citing mounting complaints from drivers and their representatives about alleged non-compliance and violation of regulations. It's not saying that actually NTSA, after receiving these complaints, went and investigated and actually found that there were breaches. It is just said, watu wana complain sana sikupatii license. Business Daily shows that the NTSA Deputy Director and Head of Licensing, Cosmas Ngeso, wrote to Bolt Country Manager Linda Ndungu last week, informing her of the development that will see the firm lose its transport network company operator license. Please note the authority is not able to proceed with the renewal of your operator license until when the issue raised by drivers and their representatives are satisfactorily addressed and rectified. In light of these, we urgently request you to provide us with concrete plan of action outlining steps your company intends to take to rectify this situation. Guy. It's not that NTSA is saying, we have actually done this in the market and we have found that you are breaching our own regulations. No, we have had complaints from drivers. Property license. Kenya opens talks with IMF and World Bank on Eurobond repayment. See, we are due to repay Eurobond in June next year.
Yes, please.
Some 2 billion shillings. Pop! 297 billion shillings. $2 billion. Now, Kenya is going to IMF to borrow that money so that you can pay for Eurobond. Yeah. Okay. And the IMF and World Bank are saying, IMF Deputy Director for Africa, Catherine Petio, told the Business Daily that the request for additional financing and the amount Kenya is seeking will be a key item during the upcoming review mission expected in December. So Kenya, they're behaving. Kenya, the authorities are steadfastly addressing this and collaborating with us in the IMF, the World Bank and other donors to further strengthen the economic program which they've been very much committed to. So hiyo pesa ya Eurobond tutapata kutoka kwa World Bank tulipe Eurobond alafu tuendelee na
sasa Eurobond now IMF ni Paul and Peter. Okay. So
bado loan iko.
Borrowing from Peter to pay Paul and then Peter will come for you tomorrow.
Microfinance banks loans books things to 8-year loan. Why more Kenyan CEOs are planning job cuts before the new year, and NCBA raises interest rates for the second time. Why?
Where?
We'll talk about that one. City, tell us the headlines in the Star, please.
Yes, I will. In Tilgreen, on the top right-hand corner, exclusive interview. CS Ababu defends record amidst onslaught from UDA detractors. What really is a complaint about Ababu? Man, the complaints are not few. Okay? Many things. Says it's wrong to consider opinion of some ruling party officials as party position on his performance, which implies that in his mind, his performance is sterling and is beyond question.
Yeah.
We shall see that, won't we? Colleague hospitalized. There was a shootout somewhere in Kasarani. There's a gentleman called Nyakundi, a police detective, who was shot in the thigh. Apparently that bullet dislodged something in his nervous system and he died. Detective shot during gun confrontation with wanted suspect dies in hospital. But herein there is a tale. This man, the family now had a problem when they wanted to move the body to a mortuary because there were charges from the hospital. And they now needed assistance. This I have to raise because we talk about police brutality, but we never really raise issues of when a policeman is shot and injured during duty. Now, here, how do you have a situation where a policeman is shot? His family is having difficulty moving. Did I not hear that the police have a hospital? Did I also not hear that there was some insurance, that health insurance, that people like the police were afforded? How then can this arise?
So they're trying to transfer the police officers from where to where?
They are struggling to move his body to another mortuary, overpayment standoff.
Oh, it's mortuary.
It's mortuary, yeah.
He was still in service?
Yes.
Where did he die? In a hospital?
Yeah, they don't say where the hospital is, but yes.
Yeah, that story raises many questions.
Oh, it raises very many questions.
Another headline?
Well, another headline is no longer tease why DP Gachagua is anxious about Mount Kenya region unity drive. Okay, we are taking the view that the writer believes that the DP is anxious. So if we take his view that he's anxious, then we'll ask the question with him, why is he anxious? All right. AK-47 rifle. Minor playing with father's weapon shoots seriously injures brother in Turkana. This is a story on page 10. Yes, a minor was playing around with an AK, 12-year-old, as admitted to hospital with a serious bullet wound after he was accidentally shot by his brother in a village in Tibish, Turkana County. His brother, E13, had picked his father's AK rifle from their house in Nereng village and started to play with it. The gun discharged a bullet during hitting his 12-year-old brother in the abdomen.
Wow.
There's something about gun safety and how it is you should manage guns. But that is a story for another day. Deadline. The team has received 258 written memoranda and 60 oral submissions. That is that special team that is meeting to discuss special things between UDA and Azimio. No, sorry. Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. It's make or break for Raila Ruto dialogue. Committee has how many days? 18 to conclude talks and submit report to the two principals. There's no make or break of this situation here.
The outcome is outcomed already.
There's no make
The outcome has already come.
We know.
But can you not see?
We received memoranda. It was public hearings.
Submissions, more drama. Yes. It's clear.
Kenya iko upungufu ya wajenga hii Kenya. 21 minutes to 7. Tell us about traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, what are we looking at? A little bit of movement into the city coming from the Thika Superhighway. You're coming from the Outer Ring Junction. You're going to take you through towards Muranga Road. So that'll be busy for some time. We're going to see a pickup of that closer to 7. And then a few minutes after that, Uhuru Highway is not looking too bad. But there's movement on Jogoo Road taking you through towards Landis, out towards Kamkunji. On Gong Road, you'll be fine all the way through into the CBD. Langata Road also free. The Southern Bypass looks good. Let's look over here. What's happening? Kangunda Road, there's movement right around Mamalusi Kibaki Hospital, and then it's going to take you towards Outer Ring. So that's where the busyness is happening now. It's going to pick up in other parts of the city, and then we'll look at outbound traffic as well, just in case anything does hit you. Let's talk Spice FM KE on X. Keep things moving this Wednesday morning.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
More trouble for Chiloba as audit report flags cash paid to CA staff. An audit report has recommended the recovery of millions of shillings paid to the Communications Authority of Kenya staff. The report also wants mortgage processing frozen. The 48-page report indicates that the current Human Resource Manual does not have a provision for ex gratia tokens or others that are offered by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission circular released in 2014. So some of the issues raised include the payment of 46 members of staff who have pocketed 7.1 million shillings atop their salaries while hosting the Kuza Awards. Okay? It is not clear why staff are being paid extra allowances which are not in the policy for work done during office hours and catered for in their job responsibilities. Payments for allowances, appreciation tokens and special responsibilities are not payable to Job Group J and above for services rendered over and above their normal job requirements. So why are you paying allowances when they were just doing their job? Is the question. The committee that conducted the audit indicated that it's not the Auditor General. There was a special committee that was put in place to audit this whole hullabaloo. They indicated that it was unclear what policy was used to authorize these payments. So after all the back and forth, they basically said, you know what? If there was money that was spent on allowances, for example, we're asking the senior staff to return the money.
Reimburse the money.
Yeah, because you were not, it was not in your line of duty, so we don't understand why you're being paid. The report says the committee also pointed out that CA paid 3.1 million shillings to 21 staff members who participated in the International Communications Council re-election bid in Romania. So they went to Romania to, bid. The report says this was done despite them enjoying full subsistence allowance for the 24 days they spent abroad.
So what was the extra?
Exactly. The report said what was the extra.
Okay.
And since there's no pointer to what the extra was, paid back.
Okay.
The committee was of the view that the regulator's staff was spending on non-existent budgets and recommended that the board should order the recovery of any ex gratia payment or any allowance that was paid without following the law. And they can see that there's a number of those.
So are we saying that the board is squeaky clean and they don't have such issues? Because if they have, what are they going to be investigating? Remember...
Is this a new board? I remember the chair is new, but...
The constitution of the board is not. They've been there. They've been there. We're even looking at this here.
Okay.
You know, these people you're speaking of are the people who process whatever allowances are due to the board. This is not a problem that exists because there is no board. It's not a problem that exists because people don't know what they're doing. It exists because it has been in existence for some time. Okay? By the time people go about this willy-nilly nonsense of allocating the money for themselves, and it isn't CA. We had this tragedy in Londiani, and money was raised. We saw how that went. Have you heard anything more of it? People who were in line of duty, they were working, giving themselves allowances. That's their job. That's what they're paid a salary for.
So now the committee said...
You saw the nonsense.
The question is it something that's new in CA? I mean, are we saying that this one just suddenly cropped up in the last financial year? Is it something that's been going on for a long time in CA?
Eric.
And if it's been going on for a long time, was it there before Ezra Chiloba became the Director General?
It is impossible, and I say this it is impossible that folks in 2023 decide, oh, okay, there's a trip, let's pay ourselves over and above the allowances that we are allowed according to law. Let us then pay ourselves a little bit more when we're going to Romania. It is not possible. It is obvious that this is habitual in nature. So then one must ask, This one, suddenly now you're picking at all the issues that you could possibly find, and then you must ask also, what is your intention? This is not new behavior. It is not. No way.
It can't be.
It's not.
What are we saying? I mean, there are very many issues here.
We are saying there are very many issues here. We are saying it's not a trend. We are saying that this is a culture. This is something that it's a question of it being unearthed, but it exists.
The deeper question is, why is all of this coming out, all being linked to Ezra Chiloba all at once, really quickly?
This one person.
Why is the sudden investigation going as? Why is this audit being done now?
If you want to ask a question, why don't we expand it and ask, for instance, when you hear of an entourage, the president is going somewhere, the deputy is going somewhere, that entire group of people, what exactly do they go to do there?
Question.
Wherever these people are going, there are already people there. It's not as though they need the numbers, so they come with the numbers from wherever they're coming from. The numbers are already there. When people go on these trips abroad, I am of the view that certain officials are necessary because you're going to conduct business, you're going to do this. But man, the numbers, because all these numbers represent money.
Yes, they do.
Yes. Because allowances have to be paid. And some of those allowances are mind-boggling.
It's just whole issue of corporate governance. So, for example, in this CA, right, the board is a non-executive board. The chief executive officer, the director general, sits on the board, representing the management. The other board members are ideally non-executive.
Yeah.
Does any of them sit at CA? Does any of these board members who are currently raising all these issues have CA, have staff? Are they occupying space in the communications authority offices? Why should they, if they are non-executive?
Important question.
Is it a board office that has been set aside so when any board member would come here and maybe a board committee and it's meeting, there's a meeting room where they can be meeting, or is it a board member's office? All this question anyway.
Whoever Chiloba offended, or whoever doesn't want him,
my friend,
they have determined that they must go at him hammer and tongs.
Watapelekana.
Yes.
The National Social Security Fund has lost a 2 billion shillings compensation battle against the government in a land dispute. NSSF versus Sirkal. In a verdict that's a major blow to the pension body, Justice Lucy Njuguna found NSSF could not explain the origins of 13 title deeds worth 300 million shillings. In its case, NSSF argued that the properties are now worth 2 billion. Implication of the orders is that NSSF loses the 2 billion shillings in investments made in 1995. The judge said NSSF title was just mere paper with no property value, meaning it bought air as the properties were public. No.
No.
In 1995, NSSF buys pieces of land. Okay?
Oh, so they thought.
Yeah. They spend pensioners' money or contributors' money to buy these pieces of land. Then government says, which land? This land. Are you joking? Now the judge has agreed. You guys said you paid what? This court cannot uphold the titles of the plaintiff when the roots of such titles are unknown to this court. It follows that the quest by the plaintiff to be compensated is not merited and the claim for damages fails. The properties at the heart of the case are all aligned next to each other in the sequence of their plot numbers, and they are in Mlolongo. The judge said she could not vouch for legalities of all the 13 titles since one indicated the parcel was right in the middle of the road. She observed NSSF bought the land from the second owner 6 days before it was transferred from the first owner. NSSF moved to court arguing that the government had illegally hived off its land for construction of a dual carriageway between Embakasi and Athi River. The fund asked the Lands Court to declare the properties private and sought compensation for the 13 titles. It told the court that it bought the properties through an agreement dated January 25th, 1995, but the AG denied the government had illegally taken NSSF properties.
Sorry, please.
Yeah?
I have a question. Who did they pay this money to for this land that they're now being told is not their own? Who received?
A seller.
Somebody sold land to them and received
Somebody
money.
sold land to them.
Did they see the land?
Who? NSSF?
NSSF.
Yeah, for a long time that land has been here.
There's been, and according to them, it's theirs.
Yeah. They have titles.
The thing about land is you can't move it.
Really?
Yeah.
What you can move is a title, but the land stays exactly where it was before.
Yeah. So AG is saying in 2006, the government embarked on construction of a dual carriageway and associated service roads along the Nairobi Airport turnoff of Athi River section, which area also holds the Athi River Way Bridge axle, which is due for expansion and modernization. He says this land cannot be transferred for private individuals. NSF called its property manager officer as a witness. He said NSF properties were among the parcels of land earmarked for demolition for allegedly encroaching the road reserve. According to NSSF, former Commissioner of Lands Wilson Gashanja had in 1994 issued a grant to Makueni Holdings Limited. Subsequently, in January 1995, this property was transferred to Kingorani Investments. Kingorani sold the land to NSSF. According to NSSF, a surveyor confirmed the property was right away from the road, meaning this land was split into two, and NSSF sold 1.5 acres to Oilcom Limited. Development of the property, the court heard, was 60 million shillings and the cost was 27 million shillings. NSF argued that all this now are worth 2 billion shillings. So you see, what happened is that in 1994, some land was transferred to some company called Makueni Holdings. Then Makueni Holdings sold this land to Kingorani Investments. Kingorani Investments in 1995 sold land to NSSF.
And now the government has told NSSF that
we never gave away our land to those Makueni people you're talking
Makueni
about.
holders.
no, we did not.
So
you bought paper.
Yeah.
2 billion shillings.
Worth of paper.
My brother.
You see that also, therein hangs a tale. It is not possible for an institution like NSSF to just buy without a whole chain of people being involved in this process.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Cannot happen.
Possible.
Cannot happen.
Due diligence was not done.
Board that was there,
Not possible.
whoever was in charge, MDC or whatever the name
There's
is
an
called,
investment committee.
all those guys, all those fellows have to be asked, explain this.
There are fund managers through which particular funds are released at certain points. Who did due diligence to say, actually, yes, we can move from here to... And they have checks that they're supposed to make sure go through along the line.
Yes.
How did you go through all of that for you to buy paper?
It was
I'm
a
sorry.
calculated scheme.
I don't believe it. Something is amiss. Something is rotten.
The
Land
state
of
of
Denmark.
Isn't it just?
Tell us the stories.
Right. There's an article here by the name, a gentleman by the name of Gwyn Dyer. It's in the Star. It says another October war in Palestine. The mighty vengeance that Netanyahu promises is exactly what Hamas actually wants. That's according to him. It says, if you're wondering why Hamas launched its all-out assault on Israel on Saturday, I wrote it last week. The Arab world has basically abandoned the Palestinians to their fate, whatever that may be. 6 Arab countries have established diplomatic ties with Israel, and several more, including Saudi Arabia, on the brink of doing so. The attack is not an all-out in the sense of the Hamas that Hamas expects to win. Of course, it doesn't even expect a seat at the negotiating table, but Hamas leaders desperately want to recover the de facto veto that Palestine once had on the concession other Arabs make to Israel, and that this is the only way to get it. The story continues.
Yeah.
This story has only just begun, and with it will come very many others.
This one is just going to be...
It's messy
It is
already.
horrible already what is happening.
It's horrific.
All right. In terms of, first of all, that blockade and Israel announcing we are cutting off power, we are cutting
the effects
off all
already being
supplies
felt.
of food, supply of water,
Fuel.
all fuel, everything. And already Israel telling people living in Gaza, well, we are coming to bomb your area, please get out. Leave the
Alarms
Hamas
have been
alone.
sounded.
Get out. And you're not getting out through this side into Israel, get out through the other side into Egypt. And then now, that side has been bombed 3 times within a day.
So where do you go to?
Yeah.
It's a pressure cooker situation, my friend.
It's always been, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has.
Now,
And the valves are loosening. If they've not already loosened.
Why?
Let me tell you. There's a bill. It's restricting foreigners from tenders, let me start again. A bill restricting foreigners to tenders over 20 billion shillings has been vetoed. MPs have rejected a proposal that sought to bar foreign firms from bidding for government contracts below 20 billion shillings, throwing a lifeline to Chinese contractors. The National Assembly Finance and National Planning Committee vetoed the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Bill 2023, which sought to raise the limit for foreign firms bidding for taxpayer backed contracts from 500 million shillings to 20 billion shillings to protect local contractors. So they were essentially, the bill was suggesting, look, let's gatekeep this for local firms. Members of Parliament said no. Let it be anybody who wants to come and do it. Let them do it. Open it. Open. The jump from 500 million to 20 billion is too big at 40 times more. Very few Kenyan contractors can handle 20 billion shilling tenders. This will therefore mean that tenders worth this amount will be reserved for very few Kenyans who can afford it. This was according to Chairman Japanni, and he said in the report, having considered the bill 2023, the committee recommends that clause 2 of the bill be deleted in its entirety. So forget about that story and open it up to everybody. Thanks.
Yeah, but therein hangs the tail, doesn't it? Why is it that we don't have enough Kenyan companies that can compete in these 20 billion shilling bids?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we have grown our organizations and our entities to this point?
Yeah.
Surely.
20 billion only.
Only? 20 billion only.
No Kenyan company 60 years down the road can actually take up such big projects.
And that it must be opened up to foreigners.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
what they're saying. They're very few. Yeah. And then what you do is that you limit the window of competition here. That very few people
Because
can
those very few are the only ones who will be getting these big projects.
Exactly. So Japanni and his committee have said nah.
All right. But what are they doing? Okay, I see the sense of saying, well, you are basically just saying this is direct sourcing. But what are they doing? What is Parliament doing to force the government or to make the government encourage more and more local companies to have the capacity
to do this, essentially? Because that's the answer, isn't it?
Yes, it
In
is.
terms of capacity for local firms, how do you then ensure that you actually rack that up? It's necessary to look into.
Yeah. There's a story I wanted to tell you. I'm not seeing it, so let me get another story. And this other story is, you see, yesterday we were talking about the death penalty and the push to lift the death penalty. And one of the guests here from ICJ was talking about a case where somebody has been convicted of murder and later she's been allowed to appeal. Let me give you the story that's in the Nation today. The Court of Appeal has allowed former Miss Langata Women Prison Ruth Kamande to pursue a second appeal at the Supreme Court, saying the top court should address the plight of battered women and the applicable legal principle in self-defense. Kamande, who's serving a life sentence for stabbing her boyfriend Farid Mohammed Halib 25 times leading to his death in 2015, previously argued that she acted in self-defense, but her argument was rejected in the first court. The post-mortem report showed that Halim was stabbed in the chest, hands, legs, head, abdomen, back and shoulders. Witnesses who testified said the boyfriend was holding his abdomen as he called for help. The woman was arrested, tried and convicted for the murder, which occurred in 2015 in Buruburu, and she was sentenced to death. She was among the death row convicts whose sentences were commuted to life imprisonment by President Ruto in July. Through senior counsel Professor Gedo Muigai, Kamande said her appeal raises questions of general public importance. It's her argument that she be accorded a fresh appeal under the doctrine of battered women syndrome. We have looked at the issues that have been raised by the applicant and know that the issue surrounding battered women syndrome is ideally raw in the country and has not had so many decisions made on the same. So this is why the Court of Appeal has allowed her to go to the Supreme Court, so that the senior-most judges of the Republic of Kenya can now make that determination. What do you deal when somebody comes and says, I was actually a victim?
Yeah, and I was acting in self-defense.
I was acting
so
in
many things have to be looked at. What is the threshold then for self-defense? In the moment, over time, in that moment, or was it now a regurgitation of all that you felt for the last however many years that came out for you to stab him 25 times? They're going to have to look at all of that. Was it that, or was it in the moment he was about to clobber you, or he was about to shoot you, and then you stabbed him?
And how do you prove all these things?
How do you prove it? Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the threshold? You're going to have to look at that.
Let's see what the Supreme Court says. Keep it here for more conversations. Very good morning to you. 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio. The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is Newswham Dennis Aseto. The National Treasury is set to put on sale 10 state entities, including the Kenya Ports Authority. The Exchequer has lined up a total of 25 entities for privatization through state divestiture, concessions and leasing. Out of the 25, 10 state corporations have already been identified and awaiting a cabinet paper by Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u for approval. They include Kenya Pipeline Company, the Kenya Ports Authority, Kenya Meat Commission, Consolidated Bank and Development Bank of Kenya. In addition, 5 state sugar millers that include Chemelil, Soni, Nzoia, Miwani and Muhoroni will undergo leasing, as well as a number of hotels where the government is a shareholder. The government is also keen on reducing its shares in Kengen, East Africa Portland Cement and the National Bank of Kenya. The development comes barely 48 hours after President William Ruto assented to the Privatization Bill 2023 into an act during his state tour in Nyanza region, setting the stage for the delayed privatization. Former Nyeri MP Ngunjiri Wambugu has defended Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's statement that the government is for shareholders, saying that his remarks were misinterpreted. Ngunjiri blamed Mount Kenya elected leaders for failing to defend their own.
I wish all the people who, especially in Mount Kenya, who were elected under UDA would spend the time to make this position understood. Because right now, the only person who seems to be talking about it is Rigathi Gachagua, and that is why he's getting demonized. Members of parliament who, let's be honest, would most probably not have been elected if Rigathi Gachagua had not supported them, have now gone quiet when he's being misunderstood and misrepresented. So today, as a former member of parliament from the county that the deputy president comes from, I felt it's important for me to put my voice out there and to challenge those leaders who are in office.
Kenya today joins the world in celebrating the International Day of the Girl Child. The Lake Region Economic Community has organized a feat to celebrate this day in Kericho County and will be led by First Lady Rachel Ruto. The community's Chief Executive Officer Victor Nyagaya says what will be highlighted during today's celebration are 3 issues that threaten the safety of the girl child, which are sexual violence, childhood pregnancies and HIV/AIDS. In addition, he says other important issues that will be discussed include promoting the health of young people, investing in the rights of girls, the role of young people in leadership and gender policy, and the control of laws that protect the girl child.
Her Excellency, the First Lady, is going to grace this occasion. And for us, this is a wonderful opportunity that we have, so we can now be sure that our agenda in the bloc, and of course it will enhance this arrangement within the country, will now be discussed at the highest level possible.
A 12-year-old boy is admitted to hospital with a serious bullet wound after he was accidentally shot by his brother in a village in Kibish, Turkana County. His brother, aged 13, had picked his father's AK-47 rifle from the house in Nareng village and started to play with it. The gun discharged a bullet, hitting the 12-year-old brother in the abdomen. Now, residents of Homa Bay County have raised concerns over the increased price of omena fish, also known as fishlings. The county fishing authorities, however, say that its shortage in the lake forced them to suspend fishing activities for a month to increase supply. Homa Bay Beach Management Chairperson Alfred Anyango also attributed the increase of omena prices to the rise in fuel cost. Now, the Kenyan government is working on how it will repatriate Kenyans who feel are in danger in Israel following the attacks being carried out by the Hamas group, according to the Secretary in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Roslyn Njogu. The Kenyan embassy has already ensured that all Kenyans in the country are safe despite the fact that more than 900 Israeli citizens have died in the conflict. According to Njogu, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has already issued special emergency phone numbers. This happens while the Israeli army continues to attack the Gaza Strip, targeting the Hamas group. According to the UN, more than 137,000 people have already moved from their homes and set camps in various schools.
In approximately 80 UNRWA schools, we are now housing more than 137,000 residents of Gaza who left their homes in fear of their homes being attacked or destroyed. It is worth mentioning that UNRWA sadly does have experience in turning some of its schools into shelters.
This is Newswire. Dennis Asada, good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
A little bit busier at this time. Traffic getting into the city is picking up on the Thika Superhighway a day after a holiday, still starting to build up in some parts, but then heavy as you get past the Outer Ring Junction, heading out into the city. Limuru Road is also busy, and we're looking at Kiambu Road piling up as you get towards Muthaiga Square. There's traffic coming off of James Gishuru. Westlands is also pretty busy as we're looking at it now. And Gong Road is busy, coming in, moving though. But we'll look at some heightened traffic coming off from Gong Road, then touching on Naivasha Road and then going towards Gitanga. So that's all starting to pile up as we get closer to traffic hour. We'll see some traffic also building on Cabanas going out towards North Airport Road. Everybody touching on Outer Ring, and that's Manyanja, that's Jogo Road, that's Kangunda Road, Juja Road coming into the city as well. So it's a busy Wednesday morning. We'll keep an eye on things and see how it progresses closer to traffic hour, and we'll talk in the meantime on Spice FM KE on X.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
To the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room on Spice FM, KTN Home, and online on Facebook and YouTube. Also, the station that reminds you that come the 29th of October, all of us are meeting at Uhuru Gardens in Nairobi. We can also meet in Mombasa, in Kisumu, and in Eldoret. Why?
Because the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is happening on the 29th of October. It's the 20th edition, so it's a special one. Where will you be? Well, one would hope that you'll be participating in the race this year. And you ask, how can we do that? Well, log on to www.nairobimarathon.com. You register with 2,000 shillings and then you run. And then you don't just run, but then other people benefit from this. It's the Future Makers program. And what they make sure they do is that young people, especially girls and people with disability, have the chance to learn, earn, and grow. It's been doing it for 20 years. Let's do the 20th one in style.
When you meet them and they ask you, why are you running? You tell them, you're running for a good cause.
I'm running for a good cause.
Okay. I'm preparing for the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. Sawa. Siti, have you started watching this new show called Kasiri?
Not yet.
On Maisha Magic Plus?
Not yet.
Eh?
These things require time.
They need time, eh? So first episode aired on Monday. Second episode aired yesterday. Third episode is airing tonight, 7:30 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus. Eh? And you should make sure that you watch it.
I'm a binge watcher, you know this.
Ah, very good.
Movie.
Yeah. Movie.
Yes,
so by this weekend, there'll be 3 episodes.
I'll watch 3.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
There'll
Next
all
week
be
again,
one.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes. I like the continuum. This anxiety and suspense that goes with waiting for the next episode doesn't sit well with me.
You don't like it?
No, I don't like it.
Well, the good thing is that you can watch this on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV channel 163 or Go TV channel 3. Imagine losing a father, then finding out that he had another wife. That's all we talk about, double life. You can dial star 423 hash or download my DSTV or my Go TV apps or get or stay connected. Terms and conditions apply. We have a guest who's joining us in the studio. Didmus Barasa is the MP for Kimilili constituency. He is here with us in the studio. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah,
yes.
You can see.
Yeah.
Wewe and your traditional kofia. Is there a meaning to this hat, by the way?
No meaning at all.
You just decided this is my fashion statement?
Yes, it is.
Signature.
Yeah.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
City has the day's proverb. This week's proverbs are from the United Republic of Tanzania.
Yes, it is. Yeah, rather they are. If you find a new pot, P-O-T, never throw away the old one. The old one being the old pot.
If you find a new pot, never throw away the old one.
Yes.
Okay.
If you were to put this in a wide African context, if you find a new wife, don't throw away the old one.
Mheshimiwa, what's the interpretation of this proverb?
I think it depends on where you stand. Of course, it's always good to know where you've come from. Where you've come from, what has gotten you to where you are. Those notes are worth keeping because you can get back one day. It doesn't matter that the position now you're holding is permanent. You can find yourself where you started, and you
always have a fallback position.
You need to not to scramble to find out how you got to that gear in the first place. So
there's always a fallback position that
absolutely,
you have.
Absolutely.
Okay. It's interesting that you say it this way because what we want to discuss is something that has been in the news lately, particularly touching on you. Kimilili MP Didmus Barasa is asking the UDA National Executive Council to dismiss Acting Secretary General Cleophas Malala, claiming he's an ODM mole. According to Didmus Barasa, Malala has continued to disrespect National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi by holding a series of meetings in Western Kenya aimed at inciting the people against the two. He says by weakening the leaders from Western Kenya, Malala is basically laying the ground for ODM to thrive in 2027. Hey, boss.
Yes.
You're speaking about which party sponsored you to parliament this time?
UDA.
You're speaking about your Secretary General.
Absolutely.
And you're saying your Secretary General is a mole of...
Absolutely, and they should be dismissed.
Where is this coming from?
You know, we brought Malala because we wanted him to checkmate Edwin Sifuna. You know, the Secretary General of ODM.
You brought Malala?
Absolutely.
What does that mean?
Of course, this means that we got Malala from ANC, and there was some discussion about which person is suitable to hold this position in acting capacity. So when the man comes, he's put in that position as acting Secretary General. We've had this marauding ODM SG, Edwin Sifuna, making statements that are wreaking havoc within our quarters. Those statements go unchallenged. So you have, he has been made statements about, of course, his normal statements about Kenya Kwanza government, how we are failing, how we haven't delivered on our mandate that we promised Kenyans. We expect that our acting Secretary General, Cleophas Malala, should be able to engage this Edwin Sifuna. But now Malala forgets about his role. He begins to checkmate Musalia Mudavadi. He begins to checkmate Moses Wetangula. Because if you go to Bungoma and you are telling the people that Wetangula should show us what he has brought here, we are struggling with whether the government has made the 30% that we promised the people of Western Province or not. Then you have an individual who is supposed to behave in a way that you are supposed to coil a very good statement in terms of explaining if we've made the 30% or not. Then you find this character convening meetings and saying, Musalia Mudavadi, please come and tell us how many projects have you brought from national government? How many young people have you taken to the military? He goes ahead to say that the so-called Western Caucus, we have had our own association that we do round, we support each other, that we are doing fundraising, yet we are in government. We are fundraising to build schools, yet we are in government. He's basically saying, is he aware? Maybe he's behaving as if he is aware that maybe the government has not delivered much on people of Western Kenya. So this is an opposition language. That's why we are saying that Cleophas Malala is an ODM mole. It should be shown the door. It should be shown the door as early as yesterday.
Mweshimua, is it beyond the stretch of imagination that perhaps the Secretary General of UDA is doing exactly what he was brought in to do?
No, at all. Everybody understands that the President of the Republic of Kenya trusts Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi. This is evident after Musalia was elevated from his current position of Prime CS without portfolio to a Prime CS holding a very powerful and lucrative position of foreign affairs and diaspora management. Then you are putting him on defense while understanding and knowing that developments in the country called Kenya are initiated and approved by one government that is in the hands of William Samoei Ruto. So in one hand, you are deflating William Samoei Ruto, and in the other hand, it could be through ignorance, but I have every reason to believe that Cleophas Wahungu Malala is acting on behalf of ODM, because this is a fella that has opened a rent collection kiosk around the Hustler Center, and his rent collection kiosk may be extending to mean that he has some clans from ODM.
What does that mean? Explain to us this rent collecting scheme that you talk about. What does that mean?
These are small things which when, for example, we had an issue with nominated MCS in Eldoret, the matter that was in court, when they go to him for him now to stamp his authority as an SG and provided direction which the court can be properly guided, the gentleman asks for these young Kenyans, these young, women and men, including some that are living with a disability. He asking for them to collect some money. We had situations where the MCS of Kiambu County had said they are not going to approve their budget. That is within their constitutional mandate, in line of what they knew they were approving. Then we are told that the SG of UDA goes to collect some rent from the governor of Kiambu and begins to threaten the MCS that we will de-whip you. You saw the senator for Kiambu calling him to order. So this is what I'm basically saying, rent collection kiosk.
But are these allegations been proven in any way? Have you, as a member of parliament, who's a senior member of parliament at that, having served more than one term, have you actually had any evidence to all this that you're calling the rent collection kiosks? In the case of that you've cited, the case of Eldoret MCAs, the case of Kiambu MCAs and their governor and their senator, anything that is proven?
I am happy you've called me a senior member of parliament. This is my second term. My position will make you at least trust me that what I say is in itself enough evidence. Yeah? We grew up this party from scratch when it was first registered, UDA. Within 1 year, we had registered close to 8 million members. At that time, the party did not even have money. We did not draw any single cent from the UDA party. When Cleophas Malala was made acting Secretary General, he has drawn more than 100 million, close to an excess of 200 million. He has only increased the membership from by 3,240. The so-called launching of grassroots registrations has all ended up in chaos. His problem is that he goes to a particular...
Before you go any further,
yes.
My question is evidence.
Absolutely.
On these rent-seeking kiosks.
It's very clear. It's on record. It's on record. It's very clear.
Whose
Everybody understands this.
Whose record?
From our party's records.
Has there been an official complaint filed at the party headquarters by any MCA
Absolutely.
from Eldoret saying that I came seeking services of the party and I was required to pay a bribe.
I have told you, I am privy to the evidence. These people have complained. They have complained to everybody. And I think ask Gladys Borcholay. She's completely aware of these kind of things. The beef with of Gladys Borcholay with the Cleophas Malala is not based on nothing else. It's based on some of the things that I've talked about here.
Mm. You know, the things that you've raised about Cleophas Malala so far matters not, well, apart from the rent-seeking on, the others are matters not necessarily about him fighting officials of UDA, but him as Secretary General of UDA, raising questions about leaders who are in the Kenya Kwanza administration, but who are not members of UDA.
My friend,
Musalia Mudavadi is not a member of UDA.
Absolutely.
He's a leader of a different party called Amani. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, is not a member of UDA. He's a leader of a party called Ford Kenya. What's wrong with the Secretary General of UDA asking the other leaders, I mean, what is it that you know?
You know, there is one important thing here that you must understand, that the party leader of UDA is the President of the Republic of Kenya. He is the person who has assigned Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi the responsibility of Prime Cabinet Secretary. Any Secretary General of whichever party within Kenya Kwanza has got no gravitas to ask Musalia to explain what he has brought to the people of Mulembe Nation.
Why?
While understanding that the role of Musalia Mudavadi is the PS for Foreign Affairs. He is supervising the rest of the cabinet secretaries in delivery of the government services. So that question is supposed to be directed to the President of the Republic of Kenya.
But somebody who would understand that very well would be Cleophas Malala. He's been a member of this party. He has actually served as a senator under this party. You haven't.
Which party? Malala was an MCA of ODM. He was senator of a senator on ANC.
Exactly.
He just came to. He may not understand the philosophy of UDA.
He understands ANC very well. He understands Musalia Mudavadi very well.
Yeah.
You haven't. So if Malala is asking questions to Musalia,
It is not.
Malala understands
it is not
Musalia
proper.
very well.
You know, it is not proper. You know, you had when the party leader of UDA was the President of the Republic of Kenya, in our National Government Council at Ombaso of Kenya, he reprimanded Malala on his face. This is what he said. He said, we will want to form, we will want to ask the affiliate parties to dissolve and join UDA. But it is not mandatory. It is not the way some of you have been saying, wapende wasipende. We will ask them, it's good for them to dissolve their parties and join UDA so that we form one party. But those who will not be willing to dissolve their parties, we will work on a formula on how we are going to work together to take this country forward. That is what the president said when he was at Bomas. Now, if you the genesis of collapse of Simio, it was on the basis of chest thumping, that those bravados, not respecting the so-called smaller parties, that made them move away from Simio and join ranks with us. We don't want to walk that route. That's why I'm saying that Cleophas Malala seemed to be scoring our own goal. I think I can equate him to, we have got this player of Manchester United, whom at one time was the leading goal scorer, but scoring their own goal. I think Cleophas Malala and Maguire, I don't think there is much difference. There's no much difference.
Cleophas Harry Maguire.
You know what I hear you to be saying is that if one is the Secretary General of a party, and the example here being UDA, he has no authority whatsoever to even dare criticize other members of that coalition. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is this, and this is very important. I need to understand this thing, that if you read the constitution of UDA, the SG has got two roles. One role is to organize the leadership of the assemblies. He can decide who becomes the chief whip, who becomes the majority leader. If we have a majority, if we don't have a majority, then the other way around will be deciding who is the minority and who is the deputy minority and the whips the leadership of the assemblies. He also has another role of driving recruitment drives in terms of increasing the numbers of our party. And he has got also another added responsibility of acting like, the reverend, the fishers of men, fishers of people to bring to the party, right? So when you have a role of fishers of men, you go to preach to the people who don't confess your faith. Those are the people that you preach to bring them here. Musalia Mudavadi is already a bishop in Kenya Kwanza government. Wetangula is a reverend for that matter. The people that you're supposed to be preaching to, reading the sermon to, people like Edwin Sifuna, people who are in ODM, people who are in other parties. But if you go tingishering the pillars within the bigger house, then that's not a good thing to do. Anybody who has gone to school, doesn't matter the level. Anybody who has just gone to school, whether it's in class 8 or Form 1 or Form 2, will tell you that at this time when we are struggling to explain to the country as to whether we have delivered on our promise or not, at this time when Kenyans are fully aware that we went across the 47 counties, we signed various economic charters, various blueprints, various manifestos with the different groups across this country, and we were hard hit by hard economic times, by factors not beyond our reach. We have escalating cost of things in this country. Some are cost beyond as a result of things that are not beyond our reach. Others are things beyond our reach. That's why we are working around clock to stabilize the cost of very basic products in this country. We will not go the Malala route of trying to put some leaders of Kenya Kwanza on defense to explain. You are simply cutting a tree that you are standing on.
Would it be far-fetched to imagine that the leader of UDA, who is the President of the Republic of Kenya, may have actually asked his Secretary General to keep people
Not at all. The leader of UDA, we only have one leader of UDA, who is also my party leader. We consult on a number of times, and the good thing with our president is that is one man who will not hide. He's the one man who will just tell you, today, Latiff, you are not dressed well. Please, this is not how you match a trouser and a shirt, right? And he's a man whom, even when you make a statement that is not right, he will just speak his phone call and call you, right? And any insinuation that is the one who has told Cleophas Malala to do what he's doing is absolutely wrong. It is not correct. Malala is on a self-destruction path, and you can write somewhere. In the next very few months, he will exit that position of ISG because he was put there in acting capacity, and the way he has performed is below bar.
Has anyone else registered this disconcert the way in which you have, apart from the name you mentioned of Gladys Boshole? Has anybody else registered?
The people who have a problem with the management and the style of one Cleophas Wahongo Malala is not just myself. There are very many people. If you find time and speak with the MP for Mwala, Vincent Musyoka, who is also the National Organizing Secretary, he will tell you the same. If you find time and you speak with the Senator for Nyandarua, Senator for Kiambu, Senator for Senator, because there's also a problem. There was a problem in Kirinyaga. You speak with the Senator for Kirinyaga, he will tell you the same. Speak with Muhammad Ali in Mombasa. Everywhere this man has gone in the name of popularizing the party, the meeting ends in chaos because he goes there when he is realigned with a particular faction. When you are an SG of the fastest growing party in Africa, you go to be an arbiter. You bring all the warring factions together. You don't realign yourself with a particular group, and you disregard the other. So I am very clear in my mind that I'm not just a member of parliament elected on UDA, but I'm also in the leadership of the House. I'm the vice chair of Roads and Transport Committee. So when I speak about something, and you are sure today is morning, If there is something that I drank yesterday, I'm sure by now I'm sober. So you have got no reason not to believe, not to believe what I'm saying. I'm speaking from a point of authority. I'm speaking from a point of knowledge, not from a point of ignorance.
Big issues within the UDA party, where some leaders are accusing their Secretary General of not acting in good faith for the party or in proper leadership for the party. One of them is our guest this morning, Didmus Barasa, the MP for Kimilili, who has come out and publicly said Didmus Barasa should be removed from this position, and is accusing him of being a mole.
Cleophas Malala.
Didmus Barasa. Cleophas Malala is the Secretary General, saying Malala should be removed from the position and accusing him of being a mole for ODM. Let's continue this conversation shortly. We want to understand more of where these issues are coming from and the genesis of this. And City had asked earlier, is this a national issue or is this a Western Kenya issue as well?
This is a national issue.
We will continue that conversation
shortly. Yeah.
7:30. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
16 degrees and sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning, highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 26 as well in Nakuru, where it is sunny at 14. Sunny at 16 in Nyeri with highs of 24, and 25 will be the high in a mostly sunny Eldoret at 15. It's sunny at 24 in Mombasa, and 26 and sunny in Malindi. 21 cloudy conditions in Kisumu with highs of 29, and 27 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kakamega at 20. It's 19 and cloudy in Kampala with highs of 25, and in Dar es Salaam 29 will be the high, where it's sunny at 25, 17 and cloudy in Johannesburg with highs of 24, and rain showers continue in Lagos into highs of 31 and lows of 25, and cloudy conditions at 23 in Kinshasa with highs of 33.
Spice up your life.
All right, we'll see some delays if you're on the Thika Superhighway this morning, because traffic has done a double in a very short period of time, and we're looking at bumper to bumper, way past where the service lanes will offer you some reprieve. We're now looking at getting into that valley at Survey, all the way to the Globe Cinema roundabout overpass underpass. It's chucking along very slowly, and so we'll probably have to wait this one out with some patience. Kiambu Road also busy. We're not looking at in and outbound traffic, we're looking at all inbound and quite a number of lanes now. Limuru Road busy, and we're also looking at Westlands, quite something as you're coming off of Waiyaki Way, because it's all spilling over from James Gishuru. Mzima Springs will deliver traffic through, also coming in from Gitanga Road and Greater James Gishuru. This is now when we see heavy traffic on Gong Road and coming in from Naivasha Road as well. Traffic hour, we're in it. Let's see what happens. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on X.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's with the Honorable Didmus Barasa, the MP for Kimilili constituency, about affairs in UDA. The National Governing Council of this party met at Bomas just the other day, the final week of September. And this brought in delegates from across the country. The party has been opening new branches across the country. And even the president has been spearheading in the opening of these new branches. You have said the party has increased its membership, those who have registered as members, by what? Over 3,000 people now?
Yes.
That tells you that those who are in leadership of the party are actually doing something. That includes the Secretary General, who is supposed to be the chief apostle.
This is what I said. I said, we formed this party and grew the membership from 0 to 8 million within a year without drawing any single cent from the UDA account because there was no money. We used volunteers, members of parliaments and senators and governors by that time in Tanga, the rebel wing of Jubilee by that time. We used our offices to engage young men and women across the country to engage in rigorous recruitment drive. That's why we grew the membership from 0 to 8 million with 0 cent from the party coffers. The man has withdrawn more than 200 million and he has only increased the membership by 3,200 from the time he was put in that position as Secretary General. Now, when you want to rate the performance of Secretary General, ideally on the face of it, you should be able to look at how this person is responding to propaganda or statements, whether fact or fiction, that are against our government. You want to rate him, like for example, now we only have at least two visible Secretary Generals of parties in Kenya. We have the OSG of ODM, and they are now our SG of UDA. Can you rate him with Edwin Sifuna? Edwin Sifuna has been hovering from one TV station to the other, making statements which are good for his party, but they are against our coalition, because the role of the opposition is to weaken government so that they can have their way when time comes. I have never seen Cleophas Malala issuing a rejoinder against what Edwin Sifuna has said.
Didmas, you really seem to admire Edwin Sifuna.
He's a young man who has done very well. He's very good in doing what he's doing. I mean, absolutely. If there is a person that ODM got that I can tell you for a fact, he's a very good person in terms of understanding the role that comes from the office he holds, is Edwin Sifuna. He is very good. He's a very young lawyer. He's a young lawyer. He's very eloquent. Absolutely. And we would want, that's why he has made most of us who are in UDA to feel like we don't have an Secretary General, or we have one who doesn't understand what his role is about. You know, we had a lady called Veronica Maina. Yes. She was a Secretary General from when the UDA was formed to the time that she was nominated to the Senate as nominated senator. That lady is meticulous. That lady battled with Edwin Sifuna, with Chris Wamalwa, but then before Chris Wamalwa joined Kenya Kwanza, when he was still in Fort Kenya, when Fort Kenya was still in dalliance with the ODM and Wiper. That gracious lady battled those people. That time there was serious propaganda about our party leader, about our presidential candidate. They were talking about corruption, very many things about William Ruto. That Veronica Maina, she meticulously diffused those propaganda. And I think I'm just wondering if we had the person in the name of Cleophas Malala as SG at that time when things were very hot. You know, this is a man whom we call in the military that you turn when you are in a military in a fighting field somewhere. You have some friendly forces. For example, if maybe East Africa is battling with Central Africa, so Uganda is a friendly fire, Tanzania is a friendly fire. But when you have a soldier who turns his gun to a Ugandan soldier who's a member of a friendly force, that person should actually be dealt with in mambo ni matatu. Otherwise, you destroy the whole troops, and this is basically what Cleophas Malala is doing.
See, we then ask the question: is this a national issue or is it a Western Kenya issue? Because
it's a national issue.
The people whom, if I'm to quote you, Malala seems to have mentioned are leaders from Western Kenya. Has he mentioned any other leader who is not from Western Kenya?
Yes.
I've elaborated. For example, PA has a leader in the name of Speaker of the Senate. Has he raised questions about what the Speaker of the Senate is doing? Has he asked about the Maendeleo Chap leader who is a minister in this government?
No.
Has he asked the question about Moses Kuria, who is a leader of a political party?
Let me school you a bit. Let me school you a bit. The only person from all those people that you have mentioned who still remains active in politics as party leader is Moses Wetangula. Musalia Mudavadi relinquished his position as the party leader of ANC to Issa Timami. There is no minister, there is no CS in Kenya who is a member of a political party. All of them resigned in line with the provisions of our constitution when they appeared for vetting. Actually, Parliament had to confirm
that they have resigned.
Okay. So they have no reason to lament because they are not members of a political parties. Moses Kuria relinquished his party, right? And I have just said here that if you speak with the senator for Kirinyaga, he has issues with Malala. Senator for Kiambu, Vincent Musyoka, the MP for Mwala, Muhammad Ali, the MP for Nyeri, the people of Isiolo. Anywhere that
since you're schooling us, all these people you've mentioned, what are their issues with Malala? Specific issues.
I am not their spokesperson. I came here. I have told you in overview, generally on what the problems are.
Mheshimiwa, you know why I asked the question if it's a Western Kenya problem? Because I do not expect that someone who, like Malala, a young chap, suddenly ascends to this very lofty position of Secretary General. It is not possible for him to have that position if the party leader did not give it a nod. It is not possible.
I think listening to this gentleman, he's speaking like he's a staunch follower of ODM, and because this is their mall. Because it's
not really.
Let him finish the question.
Yeah. In this country, are you trying to tell me that people are sent to certain positions of authority within political parties without the leader of that political party giving a nod?
Or can we ask, how did Cleophas Malala become Secretary General of UDA? How did that happen?
If I am to believe what you are saying.
No, I wasn't saying. I'm actually asking a question.
I want to answer you.
Yes.
You have asked me the question in a manner that you wanted to ask me. Allow me answer you in a manner that I want to answer you. If I was to believe in what you are saying, that because Cleophas Malala is the Secretary General acting SG of UDA, and the head of UDA is the president, therefore what he is saying, it may reflect what the wish of the party leader want. Can we therefore also say that when Moses Kuria said that those who are complaining about fuel prices, you can go and sink your own borehole? Can we therefore say that that was a statement by the president? No, it's not the position it's not the position of the president. The fact that you are a senior member of a party, the fact that you are a senior member of a government and you goof and you issue statements that are not good, it doesn't mean that those statements have been sanctioned by the leader of that party.
Okay.
People are entitled to their opinions. Your opinion, let me tell you, the fact that you are an SG or you are a government minister, it doesn't mean that your opinions are always right. It doesn't mean that you are super intelligent. It doesn't mean that you understand the way things are run better than the other people. So I'm simply saying that some of the actions by the acting UDA Secretary General are basically a goof. Those are his own personal statements that are wrecking our party from within.
Okay.
We are not madmen.
Allow me to ask you a question.
You've seen yesterday, there was a quote that newspapers quoted the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Gladys Bolsholei. She maintained the same statement that it appears the actions of Cleophas Malala is wrecking the party from within. Okay. Gladys Bolsholei, she's not a drunk woman. She's a sober person, a person with the qualifications similar to the judge of the Supreme Court. This is a fact, my friend.
My name is Muga.
Yeah, my friend is better than Muga.
Yeah. So, is it from what you've said? It's your opinion would state that he is acting out of rank, right? Or that the messages that he's sending are of his personal views. Would he then, as a Secretary General, would it make sense that he would do or say some of these things, not realizing the repercussions, whether they're an opinion or action, the repercussions of what he is asking of people to do, without realizing what position that then puts at him? Do you think he would do that?
Yeah, he can do that depending on the number of digits of his IQ. If they are 3, if they are 4, if they are 2, it depends. I mean, because one, let me ask you a question, Latiff. Unless if your IQ is below 2 digits, can you go to convene a public baraza, a public rally, and then you're asking people, please tell Wetangula to show you how military recruits are reporting to RTS tomorrow. Tell Wetangula to show you how many of these boys he has taken to military, while fully understanding that the policy of the government of Kenya is that the military are independent. They go around the country. They have announced the recruitment dates. They go to recruits from each and every sub-county. Then as an SG, you are simply now telling the country that we have a government that interferes with the independence of some of these institutions. You are simply telling people that there are other recruiting centers where recruits are recruited apart from the one that the military has gazetted.
But here, the deputy party leader has said that shareholders should benefit.
No, don't mix the issues. Don't mix the issues.
It's the same issue, Bwana.
Of course.
This is the thinking of the leadership of this party.
You know, Latiff. So when the president,
I honestly don't have an issue with the Secretary General of the party saying, "Show what kind of benefits we're getting."
Let me tell you. And
maybe my IQ is the same.
Single
digits.
2 things.
Latiff. We should not. Yesterday, when the head of state was addressing the great people of Siaya, he was very clear that every Kenyan, regardless of the color of your skin, the size of your beard, whether you have spectacles or not, whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or whichever faith you confess, regardless of the voting patterns of your area, regardless of the political party that you belong in, you have an equal share in the government of the Republic of Kenya. Even when you are a foreigner and you are here, you have your right in terms of whatever it is that you want to get from the government of Kenya. He made it very clear at that time. We should not be derailed by some personal opinions of people who, when they are making those opinions, maybe that message is for the audience of that particular area, not to mean that it is for the whole country, right? So we should be guided by what the law says, because we have a government that governs by the rule of law. We have statutes that governs us. We have got policy papers that governs us. We have got the decisions by Parliament and the decisions by delegated legislation that upon which this government runs on. So I am simply saying that if you look at the way our SG has performed, it's completely below bar, and there is no difference with Maguire of Manchester.
Have you had a conversation with the Speaker of the National Assembly or the Prime Cabinet Secretary? Have they privately complained about what Malala has been saying?
Not really, because not that I've had a meeting with them and they have complained about what Malala is doing, but I look at their body language and just see they are wondering. Not just them, but everybody, even all ministers. I see them. I see them. Their body language that what has this man smoked?
You know, Malala is a politician. So are you. Not very long ago, there was a very concerted attack on one cabinet secretary by the name of Babu Namwamba. It was incessant. There were complaints.
Still ongoing.
Yes, exactly. So Are we saying that when somebody ascends to a position of authority, they cannot be asked questions or perceived wrongs or perceived positions cannot be stated in public? Are we saying, for instance, that if your best friend, Edwin Sifuna, was suddenly to start saying that there are people in his neck of the woods who are doing things which he considers to be improper, that he'd be doing wrong, is it not possible for somebody to belong to a party and still criticize the people within his party? Is it not possible?
You know, it's possible, but you cannot equate the accusations that were leveled against the CS Ababu Namwamba with what we are saying about Malala. What Malala, these are just basically goofing, completely goofing, right? You don't make such statements that you know very well that the statements that you are making in turn are coming to hurt your party leader. They are coming to weaken the party more, you know. You can't be. Let me tell you, I was just watching a video of them when they appeared before the dialogue committee to give their views. You know, as SG's Secretary General within Kenya Kwanza Coalition. Together, he was in company of Ombogo Mlemba, who is the SG of ANC. And he was also in a company of Dr. John Murumba Chikati, the SG of Fort Kenya. They went there and they presented a position. And each one of them supported each other. And one of the opposition was advocating for strengthening of affiliate parties within the coalition. You can go there and watch. Malala was there, he supported. So when now you go somewhere, you get drunk and you get carried away, now you begin to issue contradictory statement from the one which you have appeared before the dialogue committee and you have presented. I mean, one wonders what is this man drinking and eating every day?
So you're calling these public goofs?
Absolutely.
Have you addressed them within the party structures? Just 1 week ago, you were in Bomas with the others.
No, in Bomas, we had, the National Governing Council, we had the specific things we went to do at Bomas. At Bomas, we were not going to discuss about campaigns, anything else. We were there to lay bare we ratified our constitution to include the two positions of the deputy party leaders.
Yeah.
We went there also to breast the members to ratify the election calendar for the officials of UDF party, and that is basically it is. It was not a place where we can go and begin to discuss about the service delivery of certain people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elections are coming up in December.
Yes.
And this is where you're saying Cliff Malala is likely to face stiff competition from others. Are you in the race?
I am not in the race. I am not in the race.
Not for Secretary General or any other position?
Not yet. Not yet at this time. Of course, we will caucus. Like I've told you, some of these senior positions of the party, we will sit down and look at how we are going to realign them in terms of regional balance. We can sit and say, where is the chairman coming from? Where will the SG come from? Where will this person come from? So that we don't concentrate power in one area only, because we have to spread these things around. So when that discussion comes up, maybe I may get some interest. It's not about me running for a position, but it's about the trust that if people have trust in me, if they can say, now, Mheshimiwa, you are a very good person, you are a very good member of our party, we want to run for this position. Of course, when you run for a position, it's not about yourself.
If people identify you and say, you know what, we have a young man, a member of parliament who's serving his second term, his name is Didmas Barasa, he's very vocal, he's somebody who can take on Edwin Sifuna directly, we want you to run. Would you say yes?
Absolutely, I would say yes. Why not?
Do you think you can take on Edwin Sifuna, like you said? You wanted Malala to come in and take on Edwin Sifuna.
Absolutely.
And he's failing.
Absolutely.
In what?
Opposition in Kenya thrives on fictions, things that are not proven. It is their business to paint the government black, even when everybody knows the government is green or whichever color. So you must have a person who thinks on his feet to be able to diffuse the propaganda that the opposition in Africa will always want to bring. The opposition in Africa never drive on issues, their activities are never on issue-based, but they're usually on fake propaganda, things which are aimed at pulling the government down so that they can have their way. So you must have a person who is, and I'm happy, like at least now I know we will do much better with the appointment of Honorable Isaac Maura as the government spokesperson, because at times you are told that we have got these taxes that the government has implemented when it's not there. You'll want to have a person who will set the record straight with the facts, that this is the true government position. At times you have, like my friend Odua said, that at times you have people saying different things in government, and you wonder which is the government position, which is the true position that you want to believe in. So politicians can say what they are saying in funerals everywhere in different areas, but you have this one man, government spokesman, who will be able to provide the true government position, so that even when you read newspapers, you are reading newspapers that are actually pointing at the true government position, not an editor trying to think what Ednah said, could this be what the government is planning to do? You get my point. So that is basically what we are going.
One thing you did say, and you were very clear about, is that we do have a president who will even reprimand you for how you dress in public, and would even say, you know what, fix your tie or whatever. You said that a few minutes ago.
Yeah, no, not in public.
Or wherever.
Yeah.
He would call you aside and say, my friend, the way you dressed today was not right, fix that. If he would do something as menial as that, why would he then not call out the Secretary General, for which he's a party leader, for the things that you're saying now are goofs? Why would he, detrimental to the party, if he can call you out on the way you dress? Why would he not call out a Secretary General on the way that he's behaving in public that is detrimental to the party upon which a government has been built?
Now, I don't hold the diary of the president in terms of how many people he has called in private and reprimanded. I don't.
But you seem to know that he's done it.
Of course, I mean, I will give you an example. We were going to Eldoret with him in a chopper. Then we saw a video of Honorable Kimani Kuria, the MP for Molo, drunk and trying to access a baraza organized by the DC against illicit brew. So the man comes, he was drunk, trying to jump through the fence. He called him to Eldoret, and he sat him down and he explained to him, you know, we have a president who is also a father, who is a father figure, who is a president who has mentored very young people. I would not be where I am here politically were it not for William Samoei Ruto.
So this is a man if what Malala is doing goes against what you're saying is a party position, if a member of parliament can be sat down by a father figure and say, don't do this because it bodes badly, why would he not call out? Because if he has, clearly it has not made a difference, because he's still going out, like you say, in public goofing. So why wouldn't the party leader say, if truly the position that he's not happy with this, or that the party
he may have called him. Maybe that's a question that you need to ask the president. Maybe he may have called him 300 times. And you know, even in class, we have slow learners. We have some, when you teach them today and you set an exam, they will pass. We have others, when you teach them today, they need about 2 or 3 weeks to internalize whatever they were taught. No, we have slow learners, you know. So maybe Malala is part of the people who are slow learners. Like I said, all this boils down to the digits of IQ of an individual. Whether you are a fast learner, we have some people like myself and others who learn things through fast principles, that you take me in a class, you teach me, I grasp. I can even go ahead of the teacher. And we are wired differently by the Almighty. We don't have the same thinking capacity. There are some where when you ask them a question, even in the studio, they will answer you. Others will say, I need time to do a research to come back. So I cannot, I know is that maybe the president will have called him and told him, now here, go slow. But reading the tone of the president during our national governing council meeting at Bomas. He was very categorical and he was very clear. He said all those people who have been in acting capacity, it doesn't matter whether you know me or whether you are close to Rigiji, my friend, the people will decide.
You're on your own.
You're on your oon. It's like he has said that I used some metrics, some kind of parameters that you qualify to be in acting capacity up to today, but from here going forward, it's meritocracy. You know, at that time when you are assembling a team to fulfill the requirements by the Political Parties Act, you may just pick a name that comes in your mind. If it's Latiff, you say we put here Latiff, but now we have time, we are not under any pressure, we have to fill those positions through meritocracy.
Didmas, thank you for joining us. The Honorable Didmas Barasa is the MP for Kimilili constituency. He is a member of the UDA party. He's been having issues with the leadership of the party, especially in the office of the Secretary General, and that's what we've been having a conversation with him about. Keep it here for more. Coming up in the next hour, a very good morning to you. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswam Dennis Azeto. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has urged the donor community to meet their end of the bargain in supporting thousands of refugees being hosted by Kenya, citing lack of funds as a major inhibitor to improving their livelihoods. Speaking in Geneva at an event aimed at marking the World Refugee Day, Mudavadi outlined delays in the implementation of the Shirika plan that seeks to transform refugee camps into integrated settlements where the necessary social amenities will be constructed, while urging the developed nations to expand their scope and increase options for resettlement. He underscored steps Kenya had taken to aid the refugees' lives and live a decent life, for instance in Kakuma and Dadaab. And President William Ruto will today preside over the passing out ceremony for the newest cohort of forest rangers. The pass-out parade will be conducted at the Forest Law Enforcement Academy at the National Youth Services Paramilitary Academy in Gilgil, Nakuru County. Kenya Forest Service Chief Conservator of Forest Alex Lamarkoko said the 2,664 recruits have undergone 6 months of paramilitary training and are now competent and ready for deployment to various duty stations. Now, the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Institute is piloting a saline water purification technology that could revolutionize agriculture in arid and semi-arid areas of Kenya. The technology also aims at producing lithium, a natural element used in the manufacture of lithium metal and lithium-ion batteries, heat-resistant glass and ceramics, and lithium grease lubricants, among others, known as the seawater greenhouse technology and lithium mining from salt water works project. The technology is being piloted at Kadzuhoni area of Magarini sub-county, Kilifi County, and is one of such projects in Africa, the other one being piloted in Somalia. Dr. Joseph Nyinge Kamau, a research scientist at Kemfrey, says that the technology is feasible in areas that have huge amounts of saline water, strong winds and high temperatures such as Turkana County and Bamba in Kilifi County. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta has condemned the escalation of hostilities, killings and displacements in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. In his capacity as the facilitator of the East African Community-led Nairobi peace process on the restoration of peace and stability in Eastern DRC, Uhuru called for immediate cessation of hostilities in the region. The Eastern DRC is the site of ethnic conflict and violent resource competition involving the M23 rebels and the Congolese security forces. Now, a young woman in Trans Nzoia County wants justice for allegedly being deprived of more than 20 acres of land that was given to her by a grandfather before he died. The mother of 6 claims that her mother, who had separated from her father and had other children elsewhere, has collaborated with an administration official to sell the land.
Mimi ni Rucha Legatrono, mkaji wa Swerwa Settlement Scheme. Kwa hakika ninadai haki yangu. Abu aliona tu ni vyema achiwa shamba kama administrator. Lot 112 ilikuwa the first born daughter ya kijana wake, na yeye baadaye akakuja akaaka, na on the year 2006 tukafanya succession na nikapewa grant kule kotini. My mother alikuwa amekuwa away kwao, sasa niko na step children wengine, ni kama alioleka kwingine, lakini unfortunately kwa sasa ninapoongea mama mzazi aliajak sub chief wakaanza kuuza hilo shamba. Mimi sina shamba, ninateseka mimi na watoto wangu.
She says the sons have stopped going to school and the sickness continues to weigh down on her.
Maana watoto wangu wamesambaratika. Ofisi ya Chief Justice Kenya inisikilie kilio changu na initetee kabisa kwa koti ya kitanda nipate haki kwa urithi ambaye niliwachiwa. Inisaidie nipate haki kwa urithi huo ya Swerwa Settlement Scheme. Plot 112, 10.5 acres. Mimi mwenyewe hali ya afya ndio hii mbaya. Sina matibabu, natumia mitishamba kwa sababu ya kupunguza uchungu makali ya kinonda ambayo imejamu.
One of her relatives, Grace Rono, has described what happened to Ruth as a serious violation of the constitution and her rights.
Hata mimi naomba serikali kweli wamsaidie, hata kama iko mwenye anaweza kumsaidia kwa upande wa matibabu, na unaona vile imekuwa kubwa. Anasema sasa ilienda ikaongezeka wakati alikuwa ndani. Sasa hii kila mtoto ako na haki, akiwe msichana akiwe mvulana, bora ni mtoto wako, lazima umtendee haki, yeye na aishi kama watoto wengine, kwa sababu saa hii serikali inahimiza kila mtoto achungwe.
According to statistics, only 2% of women have land titles in the country, proving that women are still oppressed. This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Okay, so traffic heavy on the Thika Superhighway this morning. A far cry from what was happening yesterday, that's for sure. We're in the middle of traffic hour, and it's heavy then coming into the CBD, and we'll look at that going through to Murang'a Road and then touching on the Globe Cinema overpass, underpass, all of this. Very, very busy. Westlands also a beehive of activity. There's traffic coming in from Gong Road. It's touching on Naivasha, Gitanga, and then coming out towards Mzima Springs, and then connecting with the drift over James Gishuru. Touching on Wayaki Way, that whole area totally busy. Langata Road also doing the same thing today, coming in from Uhuru Gardens, and then look at Magadi Road, bumper to bumper, in and outbound is heavy. Cabanas going towards North Airport Road, that's also busy. We're looking at industrial area Lunga Lunga, that whole quadrant of Lusaka, Lunga Lunga, and Likoni Road, very, very busy this morning, touching on Joko Road. So we'll keep an eye on things. Let us know what's going on in your neck of the woods. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8, how are you doing? Welcome to the third of The Situation Room. We're still live on KTN Home, on Spice FM, and live streaming the show on Facebook and on YouTube. The conversations continue. Are you gearing up for the 29th of October? That's the day when we shall all be running.
Uhuru Gardens is the place to be come that morning of the 29th. It's a Sunday, and it will mark the day where we all run for a cause. It's 20 years of running in Kenya's largest single-day athletics event in the name of the Nairobi Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon, And Again, it's a special one because it's the 20th edition. Have you registered? If you haven't, go to www.nairobimarathon.com. You register with 2,000 shillings and you make sure with this that, yes, you run and you get everything that you need to do that. But what you do is that you guarantee that young people in the Future Makers program, especially girls and people with disability, have the chance to learn, earn and grow. So you run for you, but you run for other people as well. It's celebrating 20 years, the Nairobi Standard Chartered Marathon. So register today, run for yourself, and run for others.
2 new local shows on Maisha Magic Plus, Zari and Kasiri. Kasiri premiered on Monday the 9th at 7:30 p.m. It will be showing Monday to Wednesday, while there's a new one called Zari that's premiering on the 23rd of October at 8:30 p.m. It will be showing Mondays to Fridays at 8:30 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus. Maisha Magic Plus is on DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 3. Maisha Magic Plus is also now available on DSTV Access on GoTV Plus. Spread the word. Dial star 423 hash or download My DSTV or My GoTV app and get or stay connected. Terms and conditions apply. City, please remind us the day's proverb.
If you find a new pot, never throw away the old one.
If you find a new pot, never throw away the old one.
Don't.
What do you think the Tanzanians are saying this?
You know, there is a philosophy that consumerism brings with it. You are constantly replacing what you have. So, whereas you replace, it means there are things you're discarding. Now, it's a mindset that quantifies not just the things or the things you consume, but it's a quantification process that even deals with human beings. Like the friends I have now are friends who I've considered useful to me. The moment they're not useful, then I will acquire new friends. So,
and I can move on from there.
And I keep moving on. Now, if you have that attitude, then would you say that you actually value friendship, or would you say that you actually value people? Or do you only value people when there is a quantifiable value to them, something that can have shillings and cents attached to it? You know, every time I go to the rural areas, I am fascinated by how people utilize things. You know how it is, you have a water bottle and utilize it and you throw it away. And there are people who have uses for it.
Yeah.
I have been to funerals at home when there are kids who, that's what they do. They just wait for someone to throw the bottle and they're collecting it. So you will not find an empty plastic bottle sitting somewhere. You will not find it. It's been taken. Now, when you go to the marketplace, you will find what is being used. You will know.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yes, exactly. It's all utilized. This thing that you discarded, somebody has a value for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed. Let's have a conversation about something that's been happening in the country for months now. And it appears to be a conversation that's fading away, and it must not fade away.
It seems to be one that has been absolutely forgotten. Let's take a look back a couple of months. April 2023, then we were met with a story of, bodies being found in a forest in what we now know very familiarly as Shakahola. The Shakahola forest, which is in Kilifi County, is in Makongeni sublocation. And we were told of, at first, 20 bodies having been found. And the number started rising significantly, albeit slowly, but it rose significantly. And by the end of April, 100 bodies had been found. By the end of May, that number had doubled. By the end of June and into July, that number that was found at the end of May had doubled in itself. Today, we are looking at a situation whereby 425 bodies have been found buried in Shakahola forest. Now, one of the painful facts about that is about 50% of this number are the bodies of children. Now, if you take a step back and look at what had happened, it was said that the leader of the Good News International Church in January had proclaimed to his congregations, which were now, quite strong in terms of number, that the world was going to come to an end come June 2023. And what he was telling his people is that they needed to fast, essentially starve, in order to meet Jesus in advance before the world came to an end. What would then happen is that people died from starvation. The office of the government pathologist, Johnson Odwar, has told us that while many people that they have been able to examine posthumously died from starvation, a number of them died from asphyxiation. So you want to ask the question, were they then taken to their death a lot faster than they would have naturally? We also see some individuals who were in this church who today have been charged as individuals linked to these crimes. And the Red Cross has stepped in to do a number of things. The Red Cross stepped in to lead the exhumation process. We are now at level 5 of that process. And what was found was several mass graves where the highest number of people buried in a grave at one point were 27. And many times we see that children were often lumped together. Of these numbers, we're also seeing now that 95 people had been rescued. 47 out of those 97 have been put in what is called the Sahajanad Rescue Center in Kilifi County. There are 3 processes that are currently going on. The exhumation process now at level 5 continues, but since that process began, we have not been told about the numbers that have been exhumed since then to add to this 425. Number 2, there is a legal stroke judicial process going on in the fact that Paul Mackenzie is still in custody. On the 10th of August, which now is the 9th of August, the state was given 47 more days to hold him for an investigation to continue. He actually made history as the man who had been in pre-charge custody for the longest time in Kenya. All right? He and other members of this church, many have called it a cult, many have called it, many other things, have been in custody waiting for the case. The other side of this process is that the state says they cannot continue with their investigations because the exhumation process is not complete. With the completion of that process, what would happen is that it would allow them to then present more evidence to what they were going to charge these individuals with. So in the meantime, the prayer was that this gentleman and his lieutenants remain in custody. What baffled people and what some have said is that there is a possibility that this cult continues to operate in secrecy because fresh graves were found even after the exhumation process had begun.
Found where?
Still in Shakahola. Now, when we say fresh graves, that means even after April, there were bodies that were being buried, and they could tell from the examinations that they did, the time period, testing the soil and all of this, the time period that when this individual had been buried. So the question is, who was burying these people even after supposedly this area had been cordoned off? It's been called by many as the biggest act of peacetime barbarism in Kenya since decolonization. Amnesty International said that. We've heard the CS, Ministry of Interior, CS Kindiki, say that they would be charged with terrorism. They would be charged with acts of genocide. Because whereas there is freedom of worship in the country, there is the hold to say that individuals' lives cannot be put at risk. There are many things happening at the same time. Number one, as you said, it's very possible that this has been forgotten. But my friends, 425 people buried is not a small number. People buried, that means they died, and there's no explanation or proper rhyme or reason for their death. Number two, the length of time that it is taking to cover this expanse of land. Yes, we realize 300 hectares is not your run-of-the-mill 300 kilometers. It is quite an expanse of land to cover. There is a waiting, there is a list. Now, this is where the numbers get a bit sticky, and it would be nice if we got a little bit more information in terms of what was going on. So we do know 425 people have been recovered from the grounds. Bodies that have been stored in the storage facility provided by the Kenya Red Cross.
Yeah.
We know that. And I'm going to go back on my numbers. Not 319, but 119 people have been positively identified. 119 have been positively identified. What we do not know is if this number has been taken off of that list of 613. So we cannot add and subtract based on that. We also know that from these numbers that we've been given, none of the bodies then have been removed from the storage center because the state cannot release these bodies then for proper burial because the majority of them have not been positively identified.
Okay.
So there are many things that are going on simultaneously. To cap all of that, there is a special task force that was appointed by the president to look into these issues. The chair, the Tana River Senator, Danson Mugatana, has told us that they needed more time to continue their investigations and gathering of information.
This is the Senate team,
yes.
the Senate committee.
Yes.
Investigating this.
But they are, yes, but they
created
are
by the Senate.
Yes, but they are a task force, right? And they've said they need a little bit more time, and they've asked Kenyans to be patient. So we come to the social aspects, and you want to ask yourself, what is the value of life? That something like this, so great in terms of a tragedy, can happen, and we seem to forget it as though it didn't matter, or that it actually didn't happen within the boundaries of the geography of Kenya. That there are people whose wives and children, whose husbands and children, whose sisters and children, whose daughters, whose sons disappeared. And then there's a possibility that they starved to death and then they were buried. So one must ask the question, what value do we place? How is it possible that under the leadership of one man and his lieutenants, you have 425 people buried? And at best, in some cases, we are dithering about what exactly happened to them and what is going to happen in the future.
Okay. So there was a team that was constituted to look at the religious organizations and the modalities, whether or not to regulate religious organizations. Mutava Musiemi and team are meeting. There is the Senate hearing, the Senate investigation that's going on, led by Katana. There was an attempt by the president to institute a judicial inquiry, which was blocked in court by the opposition Azimio. There is Kithure Kindiki, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, who's in charge of this whole operation, who's overseeing it, who has said, it's a delicate operation, it's taking time. There are relatives of some 613 people who've been reported missing and who are likely, according to those who are on the ground, to be among those who disappeared in this vast piece of land. 425 bodies, you said, have been exhumed. These are very many people. But what really bothers me is that it's April, May, June, July, August, September, into October, and we do not have an end in sight to the conclusion of this operation. We have called it phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It's as if it's a real estate development. It's less, as if we said, you know what, we're going to build some affordable housing program in Shakahola. We are in phase 1, units are completed, owners can come and start occupying. We've moved to phase 2. Now we're in phase 5, construction, where phase 1, 2, and 3 are being sold and owners are coming in. This is not real estate development.
And now here we are.
This is a disaster. This is a disaster where you've actually identified that something happened and people were being buried here. You know very well that the longer those bodies remain underground, the faster they continue decomposing. So the chances of actually finding out what happened to these people diminishes. Johansen Odor keeps saying some of these bodies I've been able to do post-mortem, others I haven't. because of the level of decomposition on this.
Decomposition beyond possibility of identification.
Yes. So there are all these things that are taking place. My question, and always what keeps bothering me, is why is this taking so long? If we just say that these 613 people that were reported missing are actually those that were buried there, 613 people, it's taking us 6 months to exhume 613 bodies in a vast piece of land. What if a natural disaster like the one that has happened in Libya happened in Kenya? What if a natural disaster like a major earthquake that
whereby you had to locate bodies?
Where you are, yes. Are you saying that we shall not be able to actually recover bodies if an earthquake happened in Kenya and bodies were flattened and we have more than 1,000 people missing? It'll take us 2 years to recover bodies.
That is what we are saying.
In fact,
we are not actually even removing rubble. We are just going into land that's flat and exhuming and identifying. This looks like a fresh ground. This looks like a grave. Let's dig up. Let's exhume bodies. It is like that. But it's taking us 6 months. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. Why are these phases?
The initial problem was that the Red Cross, of course, operating in the capacity which they do, of course, they did not have enough in terms of personnel, which is understood. But, of course, then we would ask the question, well, Kenya has personnel. You do.
Personnel to do what?
To exhume. Now, mind you...
What is exhume?
Hold on. Mind you, the Kenya Red Cross also said that the volunteers who are helping in the exhumation are not necessarily people who have been trained in these forensics. It's really people who are able to be shown in a few minutes. We have that. Who could be shown in a few minutes, dig here and dig in this manner. And it doesn't take long for you to figure that out. Okay. So what are we saying? That it is very possible to get other people on board as well. That if the terrain looks like this, dig in this manner. And Red Cross has told us today that they know from this that they've also then been able to train other people on the job to be able to deal with disaster management. Okay. So the question is then why? If it is so easy then to train, why do we not then have more people who can be on ground serving as volunteers to help out in this manner? It's not for want of people. The Red Cross has established that you can actually do that in minutes and show people what to do and then continue a supervisory role. Why is it taking so long? 300 hectares, we understand. Very, very large expanse of land. However, the question is, why is this taking so long? Just the other day, the Red Cross also decided that they were going to expand this freezer storage capacity. So what does that tell you? That they're finding more bodies. Are they telling us the numbers that they're finding? No. And that scares me a little bit because how many more have we found? And why is that information not being made public?
Okay. If you want to understand exactly where we stand, and our reference point being the government, its policy, and the mindset that more or less the very thing we're discussing is anchored on, let me just read what we call the Kenya National Policy on Disaster Management. It aims at, I'm reading. It aims at establishment and strengthening of disaster management institutions, partnerships, networks, and mainstreaming disaster risk reduction in the development process in Kenya to strengthen the resilience of vulnerable groups to cope with potential dangers. Now, have you understood what I've just said?
No.
All right, let me read. Let me further, then I'll circle back.
Okay.
The plan seeks to build upon, streamlining and strengthening the already existing structures, coordination structures in Kenya. Okay? The plan recognizes the use of internationally recognized tools and procedures in disaster responses. It recognizes, okay? The plan builds upon the humanitarian code of conduct and charter and the sphere standards. Okay, once again, have you understood what I've just read?
No.
Well, neither did I. I'm reading it so that we understand that if you have a policy and you even have a directorate that's supposed to deal with such matters, but the thinking behind it is as vague as what happens when it comes to operationalizing it. So what then do you think happens when disaster occurs? This disaster is horrific in nature because of the manner in which very many people lost their lives. But are we saying that year in, year out, we don't have disasters in this country? I mean, we count them every day. Whether it is mudslides, whether it is people who are being washed away from a bridge that should have been fixed, God knows, 20 years ago. Okay?
Buildings collapsing
every so often. These are all disasters.
Mines collapsing. There's a current ongoing issue now in Kakamega County. A gold mine has collapsed.
Yes. In fact, the alarm bells should ring when one life is lost in a disaster.
Yeah.
It didn't ring. We saw in Siaya when people were mining for gold and whatever, the mine collapsed, and we saw the debacle. We saw somebody, you could hear him, you couldn't get him out. The disaster process, the disaster management process itself was a disaster. Okay? So now, let's come to something like this. We've been talking about Shakahola for the longest time, but even as we've talked about Shakahola, we have impending danger that is upon us. It's called El Nino. The mindset is being operationalized and you can see it. You talk about it. Maybe for the optics, the governor of Nairobi puts across some show of people with wheelbarrows and shovels, and that's just about it, really. And here we are. Right across the country, people who live by the lake, whenever there were inflows or whether there were floods, we know what happens. What you hear the media talking about is the dangers that are coming and what needs to be done. The media talks about it very loudly. And then you wait for the response. And that seems to be the never-ending position. We are waiting for a response that will bring these matters to a conclusion. We know the areas that are prone for mudslides, flooding. We know. El Nino has been here before. We know what will happen. Now, this just highlights the state of mind that we have when it comes to managing matters that are dear to the hearts of the people. Something like a disaster, because this was a monumental disaster. Even as we got to the point where before we got to these numbers, the warning signs were always there, but how was it treated? So again, here we are. So how big a disaster do we need to see happening for us to understand that we must actually take this matter of disaster management seriously?
You know, there are two things here. There is one, and it is a very clear one issue of disaster management, disaster preparedness, and how to go about it.
Yes.
There's the other one of attaching value to life. Okay? For me, Shakahola is not an ongoing disaster. It happened by the time Kithure Kindiki was kicking everybody out and saying, all right, so we are cordoning off this area. And it becomes a public issue and it's a public security issue. I think by that time, this thing has ended. And even if it's continuing, it is minute. And if it's continuing, then security agencies have a lot to answer. But since then, this is vast land, fine. But it's an inhabited land. You're not dealing with populations where you're saying, okay, so, you know, guys, in this village, we need to move you so that we can come in and now start exhuming. No, there's nobody living here.
It's open expanse.
It is flat land. It is not rocky, or it's mountainous, it is rugged terrain, it is all these things. It's just none of those things. Why are we into the 7th month of exhumation? Exhumation. We are not talking about the 7th month since, you know, we finished exhuming, we identified the bodies. There were those that were beyond recognition. There were those that were unable to be identified. We allowed the families to go and bury because we did the records. Now we are dealing with the 7 months before we commence prosecution of those that we think are culpable. No, we are talking about 7 months of ongoing exhumations. I
that
don't
exhumations
get it.
have stalled so that you can move and then you can start the process of identification. And then you come back.
When you're exhuming, you cannot conduct post-mortem.
Those things
when you're
cannot
conducting
happen
post-mortem, you cannot exhume.
No.
And those things are not happening in the same ground.
No.
I don't get it.
I know there's an entire ministry that's supposed to deal with such things. Forget the health ministry that's dealing with it now. The Ministry of State for Special Programs in the Office of the President. This is their docket.
You know,
no, I'm sorry.
This is interior national coordination.
Yeah. Do you know what you're saying with this? What you're saying is, okay, it's possible that 500, 600 people died and are buried in a forest in Kenya, and it's okay.
We'll take our time.
We'll take our time and we will deal with it as we can. And that's okay.
Yes.
That you who want to bury your loved ones, guess
wait.
what? You wait until we finish. The people who may have been responsible for this by asking people to starve themselves to death, all right, we'll deal with them as and when we can.
Let's keep holding them.
But let's just hold them until God knows when. That the children who starved and died through no desire of their own, what you're basically saying is that really doesn't matter. So you know what we'll do? As we can do it, we will. We're not going to beef up the office of the government pathologist. We're not going to bring in more volunteers and train them about how to do this. We're just going to let the Red Cross continue with the heavy responsibility that's on their shoulders and let them just continue. And when we can, we will let you know that we finished. More than that, we're going to shut out the media. And we're not going to let you come in here and then report to people on a regular basis in terms of what is happening. So you know what? When we are ready, when we finish, and then we'll have a task force who tells you, just give us some more time, guys. And this incidentally happened when they were launching a Bible. And they said, you know what? This is important because if people read the Bible, we would not have extremist groups like this where 425 people then are buried.
Who said that?
Danson Mgatana. So my question is,
what on earth was that guy talking
how
about?
seriously do we place value on life? If it was one Kenyan, if it's 425, the 613 that are missing, who have been linked to what is happening in Shakahola, what answer do we give? What answer do we give? And it is not okay. Somebody asked me again, it's a question that keeps coming up, why are you so upset? And I said, why aren't you? You should be. You should be.
Do you know, if you're looking for a testimony of how it is our government treats its citizens, here it is.
This is it. There are at least hundreds of families that have said, our loved ones, we think, came to Shakahola. We haven't seen them. It's probable that they died. All right? Those loved ones are seeing reports of bodies being exhumed. Those loved ones are seeing reports of bodies that have been identified, 119 of them. Those loved ones are seeing a continuation of the exhumation, slow exhumation process. The government is extenuating their trauma. Those people are traumatized. Those people every day think, what happened to our so-and-so? What happened to my daughter, to my son? What happened to my uncle, to my auntie? What happened to my mother,
my
to my
wife
father,
and my 6
to my
children?
wife? What happened to them? They don't have answers. They cannot even start having answers to those questions. They will wait until the day when Kithure Kindiki finishes this I will finish one day. You know, just we are on phase 5. We don't know how many stages we're going to have.
I don't even know how many
7,
more
10.
mass are here.
We're on phase 5 now. So how many more phases to go? No answer being given at all. And we shouldn't even be asking this. They should be proactively saying, this is what we've done so far, and this is how long it will take us. And this is how we are managing those that have come. This is how we are managing the rest of the public, because there are people in the public who may not even have a relative here, but they're traumatized by just thinking, what is this that has happened in Shakahola? There are people who are traumatized by it. How are we dealing with that? The government does not care. There, I said it. It's 24 minutes to 9. Let's take a break. We'll come back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The sun is up in Nairobi, 17 degrees, highs of 26 and lows of 14, and 18 and sunny in Nakuru with highs of 26. We'll see highs of 25 and a partly sunny Nyeri, and at 18 degrees, it's mostly sunny in Eldoret, going to highs of 25. 30 will be the high in a sunny Mombasa at 27, and at 27, it's sunny in Malindi, going to highs of 30. 23 and sunny in Kisumu, 29 will be the high, and 28 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kakamega. 19 and cloudy in Kampala, 26 will be the high, and we'll see highs of 29 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 26. It's 19 and cloudy in Johannesburg, and 24, and the rain continues pounding down in Lagos, going to highs of 31. 33 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 23. It's busy this morning and seeing quite some of that. I think we're seeing less traffic now on Magadi Road as you head out towards Langata Road. As it comes off that junction of Bomas, you'll be fine. Some of that will then eventually spill off towards Raila Odinga Way off Langata Road and then touching on the Nyayo Stadium roundabout. Okay, we're also seeing busy traffic on the Thika Superhighway. That's not letting up just yet. Limuru Road is busy coming in from United Nations Avenue. Limuru Road further ahead coming in from Village Market, and Western still buzzing with traffic. So let's see in about half hour or so if this reduces. Talk to us if you're stuck somewhere looking for an alternate route. Let's talk Spice FM KE on X.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM. Nairobi.
Question. So, what's going on in Shakahola? There's an operation that began in April, May, June, July, August, September. We are into the 11th day of October. We are in phase 5 of an exhumation exercise of bodies that were buried underground in Shakahola. Nobody knows how many. We already know that more than 600 people have been reported missing by their relatives. And Red Cross and government officials who are listening and hearing and recording these reports of the missing persons have identified that it's possible that these 613 people at least are likely to have ended up in Shakahola somehow. Mm-hmm. Maybe they got in and got out. They haven't been in touch with their families. Maybe they got in, they didn't get out. Mm-hmm. They're buried in the ground. But what's happening? What's going on? Where is the government?
What's going on? Let me bring it home a little bit. There's a gentleman who left Bungoma County in April at the thought of this, because in 2021, his wife and his 6 children left him and said that they were going to pursue the way of the Lord. Okay? Now, when he started hearing the stories of this thing, the man said, it's possible that this is where my family is. This gentleman has been in Makongeni since April and has not left, waiting for the day when they will tell him, we've been able to identify so-and-so. He has given the names. The names are on that list of the 613 of his 6 children and his wife. And they have told him it's possible that they are here based on everything that you have told us. Because his wife did not hide the information. She told him that they were going to Kilifi. She did. So now the man has been waiting for 7 months to find out the fate. He just wants to know if they're dead. Just tell me so that I can know. Now take that number of this man and multiply it as many times as you wish. Because that is the truth of the situation. Now, as if things could not get any worse.
Where is this man staying? Somewhere in Kilifi.
Yes.
Who's paying his rent? Who's feeding him?
Now, the details of that in terms of what has happened, we do not know. But he's just been there waiting that he will wake up one day and they'll say, actually, from the identification process, we have found your people, or this is who they are. Okay? Sad situation. The questions are, what's happening from a legal point of view? And they've told us, actually, you know what? We got to hold them a little bit more. We have to hold these suspects a little bit more. What are some of the horror stories that we've heard that are coming from this Janad Rescue Center, where 95 of the people who are still found, mind you, there are people who are still found in the forest, others starving, waiting if this was a day that they will go to heaven. And they were rescued and essentially force-fed, taken to hospital, force-fed, and then now brought, because out of that 97, out of that 95, 47 of them are said to be suspects. So what did they start to do? That number one, they said, now what are they supposed to do? Then started relating amongst themselves. Some cesspool of some crime incest that I don't even know what you want to call it. And that was happening at the rescue center. And it became an issue of news. The rights of Paul Mackenzie have also come into question. That can he actually be held for so long without a charge, without the results of investigation coming to the fore? And then the greater question that we want to ask here, when we talk about religious extremism, and yes, Kenyans have a right, a freedom to worship, etc., are there proper checks and balances to make sure that things like this are not happening? Because you say, yes, every human has a right, but look at children. At what point? Because you guys, 50% of the numbers that we have seen coming out of that 425 are children who could not give their consent as to, okay, I want to fast and go to heaven. That they did it under the authority of their parents or under the authority of the church who said, go. Now imagine a situation where you have a starving child. And Johansson Oduor's office also told us that children, their dying breath was as a result of asphyxiation. What does that mean? That they were already on the way, and others, they were strangled.
Force trauma.
And others had, so you killed them. You made sure they went on top of the starvation that they were already suffering. Children who have no right to give consent because they are minors. Number two, have no idea what is even going on. And you know what we say? Every day that this is delayed, every inaction that is taken, every time you say, give us a little bit more time, you know what you're saying? You're endorsing this act. You are saying that it is okay that 400 plus people have been found buried and it's possible that another 600 are underground. You're saying it's all right and we'll deal with it at some point. And I'm saying you cannot.
I refuse to accept, unless I get a really good explanation, I refuse to accept that it actually should take 7 months to exhume bodies. There's nothing at all that explains to me why we are taking 7 months, why we are doing this in phases. Okay, so yeah, it's a delicate operation. Yeah, there's this and the other. But surely, why is it taking 7 months? Kithure Kindiki, the CS, has on many occasions come out to say, so this is what is happening in Shakahola. We're going to spend more time. When it comes to talking tough on Mackenzie and the others, he says these ones are going to be treated like the biggest criminals. These are war crimes and
genocide.
And genocide. But there is no sufficient explanation that's given on why it's taking this long. There are very many things that are happening. When it's taking this long, you're extending that trauma that we've talked about. Number two, it's also costing. It's a cost. It's a cost that's being incurred by government on a daily basis as long as this operation is going on. Why is it taking more than 7 months to exhume bodies? Why has it taken 6 months to exhume 400 bodies and we're still spending more time? You already know this is the area. We are not looking for the bodies in a province. It is within a certain area that the government has come and said, we have cordoned off this area, we are doing an operation inside this land. Why is it taking so long? Is it government incompetence, incapacity? None of those make sense to me.
My dear, the problem is that you're not going to get an answer in terms of why it's taking so long. And that's the unfortunate thing. That you will not be told that it is because of 1, 2, 3, and this is the reason why it's taking so long. We've seen, if you want something to happen quickly, we've seen that it can happen. And this is my problem. If you actually want to place something on your priority list, nobody has to tell you twice. You don't have to wake up tomorrow morning and say, okay, this is the thing on the agenda. No, it'll be very clear to you the importance that somebody has placed on something by the action that they take. And that's why I keep saying the value that we place on human life is close to non-existent. If we did, things like this would not happen?
It's an attitude.
It is.
It appears to be an attitude. You know what? These people wanted to die anyway. So,
yeah.
So you're
who told them to go and stuff?
Even, those, they are dead. They are buried. So however they ended up, those ones are their relatives. The rest of the country did not want to die.
So they didn't go.
But you are holding us into that same story, all of us, and you're telling us, you know what, guys, there's something that happened. We will tell you. So I refuse to accept that there's a tangible explanation.
I have to ask this question. So then what would you say we hold dear? What then would we say is important to the government? Because the government is the people, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So if the people are not important, or are we saying we are an animal farm where some people are more equal than others?
Yes.
What are we saying?
Mm.
The measure and the value that is placed on human life can be an academic subject, but in this country, we don't need to theorize it. We just need to open our eyes and see. If we have situations where there is hardly anything we don't talk about in this country, and we talk about it at great length, and even when we mention things that are of concern, it appears as though when there is silence on the part of the government, then that matter is concluded.
Yeah.
So one asks, let's just start. The disaster-prone areas, disaster where there was conflict, people died. There were people we refer to as cattle rustlers.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had terrorism, attacks, people dying. All these things boil down to security. What we have in the news is every once in a while there is some device on the road that explodes, either killing the people who planted it or damaging some government vehicle. Are we ever given a complete report? Have we been told of what happened to the people we refer to as cattle rustlers and bandits? Have we been given a conclusive report? I haven't seen it.
No.
Maybe the two of you have.
I haven't.
Yes.
There's an ongoing operation that was announced by the government.
That we
which also got military involved.
Yes.
And they're supposed to be giving reports.
Yes.
And the same Ministry for Interior has said, you know what, we have pacified this area.
Yes.
And the people who are responsible, we already have dealt with them. Have you seen any of them being presented in court?
Not one, not a single one. So one doesn't really know. And we never get to even hear of the casualties as such. And yet there are casualties.
Mm-hmm.
There are casualties.
Mm.
Yes, they always are. Remember, these bandits, as we call them, are armed. And they take their work seriously. Huh? Now, where does that place us? Does it then give you confidence that you are safe within the ambit of this particular government and within the security forces that this government provides? How is it that when we had the Mtongwe ferry disaster, the people who rushed to that scene were not just the Kenya Navy, but private contractors? People whose work was to dive-con and others, people who are professionals. This is something Kenyans do very well. They rally around.
Yep.
Now, are you telling me, in this matter, delicate as it is, you are telling me that the armed forces who have personnel, and they've been brought on many occasions to help out, could not have helped in this, because we have large numbers of them.
Or cannot today?
Yes. And if you say they need what? Medical personnel, they have medical personnel. If there are people who are specialized in dealing with delicate situations, it's such people. Why were they not brought in? They have not been known to refuse to assist where there's such a huge humanitarian cry for help.
Or is it that? Is it actually because it would be seen as though these individuals who were buried, these people who died and buried, the cause of their death was a personal choice?
It doesn't matter.
This is the thing, that warped as that reasoning may seem, I am looking for something. You have to help me out here. I'm grasping for straws because it doesn't make sense to me. So I am looking for a reason as to why there is not much in terms of, speed when it comes to this, or even recognition.
So let's just assume, let's take that and say there's an attitude issue here, all right? And the attitude of those that are in leadership in government is these people chose to die. All right. So
we'll figure it out later.
They chose to die. Okay. But then there's a cost associated with it. The cost is X number of police officers are deployed right now into that one piece of land where they could be deployed elsewhere. The cost is X number of Red Cross personnel are deployed here where they could be deployed elsewhere. The cost is this Mackenzie and his other people who are in custody are occupying space. Are being fed by. This is
ironically
all these things are a cost. So even if, and then the people whose relatives went missing and who are believed to have been among those that died in Shakahola are traumatized and they're looking for their loved ones. If for nothing else, do it for the families that want closure. These families that just want, you always hear this thing, tafadhali munipatie tu mtu wangu nikamzike.
Yeah, that's it.
Munipatie mtu wangu this is what people are looking for. I just want that closure. I want to perform the burial rites for my loved one. I know, I found out, so this is where they died. All right, give me the body, let me go and bury. Whenever we have all these disasters, air crashes and all, this is what people ask for.
This is what they ask for.
So are you able to give me back the body? If you're not, and you've told me that you have not been able to find that body, but you know that this person was on that plane, it's all right. Let me go and find a way of conducting the final rites for my
some
relative.
kind of symbol.
You are telling this 600 people, let's reduce the number of families and say, okay, so some 500 families or so are looking for their 613 people. So let's say that. 500 people, you're telling them, you wait.
Even at, look, can you imagine the horror? Imagine the horror, because there are some who have been identified.
Yes,
okay?
119.
They have been identified and they've been able to say, this is your person.
Your person is here.
Family X, your person is here. Still, the bodies cannot be released to these families because they're saying, we have not concluded the length of this investigation.
Something is
so we
wrong
cannot release the bodies to you even.
You know, something is
so
really,
go back.
Something is very, very
bust my brain.
Something is very, very wrong here, because I'm sitting here trying to figure out which way up, which way across, which way down, which way. You know, it's like we hear words, we see events. There's some attempt at coordinating these, but they can't be coordinated. And you're thinking, okay, so what really are we dealing with here? Bold, strong statements, and yet when we look, what you're seeing is issues that have no closure. And it's not one, it's not two, it's not three. And they seem to be piling. You know, when one says that, let's be specific now with ministries and say, leadership in this ministry don't seem to know what they're doing, or they don't have the capacity. Would one be speaking ill of people when in fact one doesn't understand the situation? Or would one be speaking from a position of accuracy? Because what would competence and the ability to grasp the wherewithal of the task before you, how would it play out?
City, even if it was just at the barest minimum sharing of information.
Yeah.
Even if it was that alone. Okay, let's excuse you because these things take time, you don't have. Even if it was information sharing. Reduce that. Even if it was information giving to the people who you have identified before we graduate this thing. And that's a problem. It is a problem. Until we come to terms, we come to grips with this bad manner behavior that just escalates time and time again.
It is wrong.
It's wrong.
When we were talking about having this conversation this morning, one of the things that was crossing around our conversation was, should we bring somebody to answer these questions? But then if you think about it, we don't have to be bringing somebody to answer questions that they have not proactively even gone out to start explaining. The responsibility of those in office is to proactively explain. When we had that, in the middle of the COVID lockdowns and all, the Ministry of Health was having daily updates.
Daily.
Until
this is what we are doing.
Fellow
This is
Kenyans.
why we cannot reopen today, because we've heard.
Daily.
So we're going to extend the lockdown. This is why you cannot go and eat at your favorite Italy's. This is all those things we're being told by fellow Kenyan. This is why we should be hearing regular updates from Professor Kithure Kindiki or his PS Raymond Molo or others on why it's taking us 7 months of this operation. We should not be asking. We should not be, grasping and then
saying,
wondering.
what is happening?
Or maybe,
I think this is happening.
Maybe it's a delicate. So even if you come and tell us it's a delicate, explain to us what is this delicate thing. What's so delicate about Kenyans dig up graves every day? There's a funeral somewhere today. The grave has been dug up by Kenyans.
And many grave diggers are locals, and
there are many exhumations that happen, court-mandated exhumations. Who conducts those things? Villagers just go and they dig and they bring out the body. These things happen. So it's not that we are lacking people who can dig a grave. No. It's not like we do not know where, we know where. It's not like if it's shortage of these spaces where you can store the bodies, surely 8 months, if we are even ordering maize dryers and they are coming in time for harvest, we could have ordered more coolers. And they'll be here to contain the bodies. No. Ministry of Interior, no. Absolutely no. It should not continue more than 7 months of something that we don't know whether it will end, whether it will not end, or we are saying, let this Mackenzie guy still stay in custody. We shall start. No. This operation must come to an end. And it must come to an end. We need to move on to the next stage. And let's move on to the next conversation. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is New to Dennis Aseto. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has underscored the need for comprehensive and adaptable solutions to address issues of displacement and identity. Mudavadi stated that solutions must consider both refugees and host communities, hence the government transitioning from camps to integrated settlements under the Shirika Plan. According to Mudavadi, Kenya has provided assistance to more than 80,000 refugees and asylum seekers in their voluntary repatriation efforts, supporting them in returning to their countries of origin to rebuild their lives and nations. Kenya is working to unveil a harmonized national dress by October 2024. The country's State Department for the Arts and Heritage has announced. Arts and Heritage Principal Secretary Umi Bashir said the plan will be actualized by October 10th. Speaking during the inaugural Utamaduni Day celebrations, Bashir said the department will consult widely before unveiling the outfit. A section of Migori farmers have urged the national government to move with speed to import duty-free yellow maize to ease the economic pressure on the high cost of animal feeds. The chairperson of the Migori Kenya National Federation of Farmers, Peter Chacha, said that the importation of duty-free yellow maize and other animal feeds raw materials will ease the pain of the high cost of animal feeds that have skyrocketed for the last 3 years. President William Ruto, while addressing the UDA delegates at Bomas in September this year, announced that the government was planning to start importing duty-free yellow maize to ease the high cost of animal feeds in the country. The Narok County government has commissioned an emergency and response center in preparation for the El Nino rains following a prediction by the weatherman that the county is a red spot county. Speaking during the commissioning of the office next to the Narok County Commissioner's office, the Narok Governor Patrick Ntutu said Narok town is one of the risky areas as flash floods occur in the town every rainy season. He recalled in the year 2015, 23 persons died and property worth 1 billion shillings destroyed after flash floods swept across business premises in the town. In this regard, the governor said that they are unclogging all drainage systems in the town and its environs and ensuring that no structures are built within the water pathways. Nigeria has airlifted more than 300 of its citizens back home after they fled to Jordan from Israel, where they were on a Christian pilgrimage. Israel has launched a military campaign after Hamas militants carried out a surprise attack from Gaza at the weekend in a conflict that has already left hundreds dead and scores of Israelis kidnapped. The group was traveling from Bethlehem to Nazareth when they heard news of the attack in the south of Israel, said Bukola Adekele, a special advisor on Christian affairs for Lagos and one of the group leaders. Egypt is moving to prevent a mass exodus from Gaza Strip into the Sinai Peninsula as Israeli bombardments halted crossing at the only exit point from the Palestinian enclave. Israel's assault on Gaza has caused alarm in Egypt, which has urged Israel to provide safe passage for civilians from the enclave rather than encouraging them to flee southwest towards Sinai. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said that the escalation in Gaza was highly dangerous and that Egypt was pushing with regional and international partners for a negotiated solution to the violence. And Israel said it recaptured Gaza border areas from Hamas militants as the war's death toll passed 3,000 Tuesday, the fourth day of fierce fighting since the Islamists launched a surprise attack. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned Israel's military campaign following Saturday's onslaught is only the start of a sustained war to destroy Hamas and change the Middle East. Fears of a regional conflagration have surged ahead of unexpected Israeli ground incursion into Gaza, the crowded, impoverished enclave from where Hamas launched its land, air and sea attack on the Jewish Sabbath. And Russian President Vladimir Putin said the Israel-Gaza conflict showed the failure of Washington's Middle East policy and called the creation of an independent sovereign Palestinian state a necessity. The Russian leader made the comments while meeting Iraqi's Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani in Moscow, days after Hamas launched a massive attack on Israel. Putin said the US had tried to monopolize regulating the conflict but unfortunately were not preoccupied with looking for compromises that would be acceptable for both sides. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
At a few minutes after 9 o'clock, it's still busy in some parts of the city today. We're looking at still coming heavy off the Thika Superhighway as well as Limuru Road. So that whole area, Limuru Road coming in, Muthaiga, and then in from the Northern Bypass, there's some that's still happening there. And also see some movement still around Westlands. But apart from that, everything seems to be calming down just a bit. Outer Ring is still busy coming in from that junction at Embakasi. So watch out for that. But I think more or less traffic has come or is coming to an end. But we'll just see what happens in about next half hour. Right? Let's talk on Spice FM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to...
Good morning, welcome to the final hour of The Situation Room this Wednesday morning, the 11th day of October 2023. Have you watched this new show called Kasiri on Maisha Magic Plus? It premiered on Monday. It airs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus. Also look out for the 23rd of October when Zari will also premiere, and it'll be showing at 8:30 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on Maisha Magic Plus. All you need to do is dial *423# or download your Maisha Magic Plus or Go TV, DSTV or Go TV, and you'll be watching the shows live. This is the way to go. So, Sawa? We have a guest who's joining us now in the studio. The governor of Mombasa County, Abdulswamad Sharif Nasir, is back in the Situation Room. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you again.
It's good to be here as well. We did make a promise that periodically we will be here. It's good to be around to state things the way they are and not just wait for the election period.
Very good. It's important to be accountable and to the people. Asante sana for joining us. Today's proverb is from Tanzania. It's not in Kiswahili, it's in English, from the United Republic of Tanzania.
Yes, in fact, for the entire week, the proverbs are from Tanzania.
And they're all in English.
Yes.
I need to write this down.
If you find a new pot, never throw away the old one.
If you find a new pot, never throw away the old one. I'm sure, Governor, you have several similar Swahili proverbs.
Usiache mbachao kwa msala upitao. That would be something quite similar. If you find a new pot, never throw the old one.
What do you think the Tanzanians are saying?
I think basically there is an English saying that says as well, however rotten your teeth are, there was still once the greatest comfort in your mouth. That's what it means, actually. I'm trying to translate this particular proverb in Kiswahili, ukipara chungu kipya, usitupe kile cha zamani. More or less the same thing.
It is.
Honor those who've been there for you. Those are the greatest VVIPs.
I see. Governor, it's been about 3-4 months since you were last here. And the last time we were having a conversation, you were just working on your budget for your first budget as governor. You are, of course, working with the previous budget. Now you have a new budget. You have programs that you are rolling out. You have promises that you pledged to the people of Mombasa. Now you have a fully-fledged budget that you're operating on, and it's executing your plans. But there are several issues. Let's start with the first one. Earlier in the year, during the rainy season, there were issues of flood in Mombasa.
Yes.
Now, the Met Department has told us expect above normal rainfall. In fact, expect El Nino to come. How prepared is your government to deal with that?
I think we're pretty much prepared. It is a good thing. Just after the elections, you did notice there were short but heavy rainfalls in Mombasa, and places like Kibarani flooded, places like the railway roundabout flooded, and Kenyans made a mockery out of Mombasa. But to me, I felt that as a learning experience. We just got in, we realized where the problem was. An area like Utange got messed up. Right now, as we're speaking, we've already fixed all these problems. And it's been raining. It's not that it's not rained since then. It's rained. And I can comfortably say that the situation is not as it was. Today, we are pretty much ready for the El Nino. I'm not saying that the possibility of flooding is going to be zero. You take a cup of water, fill it up, or rather a cup, if it's empty, and you fill it up with water, and you continuously fill it, and you're hoping that, eventually it is going to have to overflow. But at least we can comfortably state we are better off right now. We fixed the problem in Utange. We fixed the drainage in Likoni area. We saw what the problem was. Coincidentally, the problem was actually the road works that were going on. They're the ones who messed the drainage system at Kibarani. That has already been fixed, so we are very, very much okay on that.
Your Excellency, can you talk about these specific problems? For instance, In Utangi, what was the specific problem? In Likoni, what was the
riparian land? The issue of Utangi was riparian land. Unfortunately, people just came in and built on a natural waterway. So when you do that, and then again also we had a Kura that had built a culvert, but the culvert size was small. So on this side you've got a culvert that is this large, and then on the outer side it's small. So when we came in, we just told all these people, actually it's law. The law is that if a river or rather a waterway is passing, if that is its natural course and path, the river has first priority. The water has first priority over a person who says that the land is theirs. And what we did is we talked to all these people who purportedly owned, and they had some decisions that you have to take are tough decisions, but they're decisions that you have to take for the whole of society. You either break or you allow the water to pass. And right now, water is passing. And we cleaned up the drainage. We increased the culvert sizes and fixed the problem.
Is the same fixing and the same sorting out, is it something that can be found in other places like, say, Kongoea, the town itself?
No, I think every single area in Mombasa has unique issues. Some areas grew faster than the other infrastructure. So you get people that were able to build connections, were never done, and some of these things are very historic in nature. People never ever connected, or rather people take their sewer lines and then decide to do shortcuts so that they can put them through the storm water, because storm water is just to wait until the rains are going to come in. So and that is what one of the major problems that was there as well. So it's different problems. Like in Likoni, we had to fix an area called Mahima Stadium area, which had a problem. We had to fix an area called Bofu, which also had a problem. We fixed something else in Kisauni. Different issues, different. But I mean, I'm giving an example, like the one in Kibarani. When Kibarani, it's because the guys who did the works, and this is the reason why it's important to work with the county government. The guys who did the works simply blocked the drainage system. And then also, there's also that issue of assumption. When you let something go for a very, very long time without periodic cleaning, without periodic flushing it out, then you're going to have a problem, because eventually with natural pollution, with things like sand, silt, all these other things, they end up blocking these passageways. But it's as an urban area, it's a lot of dynamics that are involved. One, when you've got others doing things, people building on riparian land, you've got people who built without having considered that you need a drainage system. So this is where the problem was.
Right. So obviously there were some things that you did do which would look like they were difficult decisions to make, but then the question is, some of these issues were perennial. We look at the flooding in the city. What thing did you do that maybe was not done before that seemed like it was an easy decision to make? Like, it's clear this has to be done to sort out the problem, because then our mind goes back and say, then so why was it not done before?
Well, when people see results, they always think it is an easy decision, but it's never an easy decision. It's never easy to look at someone in their eyes and tell them pull down
the building,
the structure that you put in, and you have to say it with two emotions, with an emotion that deep inside you're feeling for that person, but the other emotion you have to consider all the other thousands that have been affected by this. And then again, you have to balance things out in the sense that some people inherited, some people bought properties, some of these things were done when I was in high school. You know, decisions have consequences.
Yes.
That is what has exactly been happening, and I think we need to be tough when there's toughness that has to be there. It is more of a fatherly love kind of toughness.
There are people. I'll go straight into a question that's coming in about restoration of order in Mombasa. Somebody's talking about the area around Likoni. There's no order into the Kivukio and out of the Kivukio Chaferi. He says when you cross to the Likoni side, driving out of the ferry can be a nightmare, and also when you're coming onto this other side, there are issues.
Well, I wish the people from the Ministry of Transport who are listening to this, I truly do wish they're listening to this. And if they're not, please ask someone to ask them to tune in. But I've written to them. I've gone to see them. By law, maybe by constitution it's different, but by law, ferries are currently under national government. I have proposed to the Kenya Ferry, to the Ministry of Transport, and I've told them, look, we're having this problem. This is not an issue that I just raised just in writing, verbally several times. I've gone to see the CS on this. I've told them this is a disaster waiting to happen, and what I would truly call hypocritic is if anything happens, then we all come and start crying because I raised the matter.
What's the situation?
Unfortunately, the problem is there is no order because we don't own property on either side as a county government. You need to realize that people will need to move. When people move, this is a ferry. The last figures that were there was that they were doing plus 600,000 human traffic to and fro on a daily basis. And I've told them that this is a disaster. You can't have a situation where people are selling at the same time there's a bus stop there. At the same time, there are people who are frying fish and, there's a lorry that wants to pass there. Unless you have a bit of decency, and there is property that belongs to railways. There's some property that belongs to the Kenya Ports Authority. We've asked them, allow us. In fact, I've even taken it further. I've told them, don't give it to the county government for free. The same way you do it for the rich folk, where you give them the properties. Give it to us as a county government. We'll pay. We'll pay like the same way the rich folk pay you. Not, of course, nothing under, but we'll pay you a lease amount and allow us to be able to run that terminus there so that we can give direction. I'll give you another example. If you think this is a disaster, now this is something that we've also, and we've raised this matter. There's a beautiful thing that is going on in Mombasa currently, and I want to re-emphasize it's a beautiful thing. There's going to be a meter gauge rail that is going to come from Miritini all the way to railways. Now, when you have a situation where one train carries about 6,000 passengers, that's one way. Back is 6,000. The SGR has been really, really full to capacity. Today, if you want to get an SGR ticket, you'll probably be told you're not going to get a ticket for next month or the month after. It's all booked, which is a beautiful feeling. As governor, you've got people who are coming in. The concept is amazing to bring in passengers from the SGR terminus all the way up to town. But my question is one, and I've written again, I've raised this matter. By the way, it's law. The Prime Cabinet Secretary has confirmed it in writing to me. The Attorney General has confirmed it in writing to all the people involved. IBEC, I raised this matter all the way up to IBEC, have confirmed it in writing. I have written to the ministry and to the railways people. They need to share their plans. Development plans have to be approved by county governments. I've even gone ahead and given them suggestions for us to be able to remove all these bottlenecks. so that I'm at no given time am I the one who caused a problem for
a delay.
And I created all these narratives until today. Now my question is one, you've got 6,000 people coming in, 6,000 people leaving at the same time, 3 times a day. That's already an area that is already congested. If you're not going to share the designs and everything else, as a county government, God forbid an emergency was to happen, you've got a scamper of 12,000 passengers alone. You've not counted those people who went to see them off and those people who went to receive them. Any single person who travels will need a means of transport to go back to their homesteads. So you can imagine 12,000 people, if an average 2 people are going to use one mode of transportation, that's 6,000 mode of transportation at any given time at an area that is congested. As a county government, we need to sort out the traffic route, rearrange how vehicles are going to be moving. Do we need to look at ways in which roads are going to be just one-sided? We have to look at the sanitation. The passengers might use the bathroom in the trains and the terminus. What about all those people who come to pick them up? Where are they going to? I mean, chances are there could be, 10% of the population needs to use the bathroom at any given time during that time. So you've got 600 people, or rather 1,200 people times 3 who have nowhere to go to the bathroom. Should we look at expanding the road? Should we do all these other things? You need to put a sanatorium, a small little unit in the event anything happens. But that's what planning is all about. Otherwise, what's going to happen is a couple of years from today, I'm going to be called back again to Spice. And when we're told, what are you doing about the problem that was there? And this is what happens.
So you've written to the ministry responsible.
Yes,
it's the same one that you've written to about the ferry crossing. It's the Ministry of Transport. What's the response?
I think there's I have no idea. I mean,
you have no idea what the response is.
I think the challenge that is there's always the feeling that probably why is this guy is going to be a hindrance or something. But you have to work together. Verbally, they've indicated that yes, we need to do this, we need to sort this problem. Legally, I mean,
have the responses that they have given, you said the Prime Cabinet Secretary has responded. What was in their response? What did they say?
That yes, the county government is right. It isn't, by the way, it isn't just about anything else. I'm not the kind of person who does things just blindly. I did my research, and when I came in and I realized where these problems are, then I did my research. There should be something that needs to be sorted out. You can't have a situation like this. And I did my research, and actually I realized the law says that for all these things to be done, the county government has to be done. The framers of the constitution and the framers of and the architects of this law knew what they were doing. So just to spice it up, if I may choose that word.
Why not?
I went and I wrote to the Prime Cabinet Secretary and told him this is the concern that I have, and he wrote back to all these institutions that the governor is right. This is the way it should be. And then I wrote now to the Attorney General, and I said, and the Attorney General wrote back again to all these institutions and told them the governor is right. And I I raised this matter again to up to the levels of, not the Deputy President didn't sign it, but his office did confirm and sign. Then we didn't stop there. I took this to the Council of Governors, and the Council of Governors made a resolution that yes, the Governor of Mombasa is right. But do you want to get into a situation where you seem to be the one always fighting? Why can't we work together? That's the only thing that I'm asking.
It seems to be a straightforward thing. And it also will raise the issue about what we want to discuss.
I'm saying this again. I mean,
the same ministry and the issue of port and the conversation that we've been having lately.
I just want to be on record.
Of concession of.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Yes.
Then
I just want to be on record. One, we have raised the fact that there is danger looming at the ferry. We have raised these matters. We have raised concerns, and we have even shared. In fact, I shared these designs, if I'm not mistaken, was it my first or second month in office? Continuously, I wrote to railways and I told them, you have properties right here, abandoned buildings. I'll pay you, because it's not like it's something new. You're already giving them out. You're giving out your properties anyway. And it's not like the county government is asking you to lose revenue. And we've even given a disclosure that all we want to put up is a bus terminus.
Yeah.
I think also there's that people need to get out of that political cocoon that I'm in this side and this person is on this side. Eventually, we're all on one side.
You're serving the people of Kenya.
We're all on the Kenyan side.
Let's take a break, Governor. 28 minutes past 9. Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, the governor of Mombasa County, is our guest this morning. We're talking about, he's here to do his quarterly report to the people of Mombasa and to the country and what he's been doing since the last time he was here. But also we'll be talking about issues that have developed over the last 3 months or 4 months on touching on Mombasa, including the port and others. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
On your marks, get set.
Kenya's largest single-day athletics event is back again this year, and it is bigger. Get ready for the 20th edition of the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. Join us at the Okoh Gardens on Sunday, 29th October, as we celebrate 20 years running. Register today for 2,000 shillings only at www.nairobimarathon.com. All proceeds go towards our Future Makers program, which helps young people, especially girls and people living with disability, to learn, earn, and grow.
Wadau mko ready kuona magic? Nasema wadau mko ready kuona magic? Haya basi, msiblink juu sasa tumefungulia Magic na Maisha Magic Plus. Watch all the best local entertainment kama Njoro wa Uba, Salem na the all new shows Kasiri and Zari. Tumefungulia Magic. Maisha Magic Plus is now on DSTV Access channel 163 and GoTV Plus channel 3. Karibu boma ya local.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, it is 9:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. A very good morning to you if you've been following us on conversations on YouTube and Facebook, and those who are following us on Spice FM. We are also now live shortly on KTN News. Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir from Mombasa County is our guest. We're talking about several issues. There's a matter of the port.
Right.
Well, the port of Mombasa, the port of Lamu, but let's focus on the port of Mombasa because it's a big thing. And recently, the issue of concessioning some services is one that has re-emerged. Initially, it was there in the previous administration, and the whole conversation about bringing Dubai World into the port of Mombasa, it was rubbished by politicians. It's been brought back by this administration, and they're saying, all right, so we're looking for, to bring in some private sector players into this. You have been talking about it publicly, and you have some thoughts on this. What are those thoughts?
I think before we went on break, probably before we get to the port issue, there was an issue that I was asked about. If you don't mind, I just want to take you back a bit on the issue of the Mtongwe, because this is an issue that I raised from when I was a member of parliament of Mvita, and I was the chair of the Public Investment Committee. This is an issue that I am aware the current member of parliament has really been crying about. This is the crossing from Mtongwe to Liwatoni.
Yes.
One, there used to be a ferry service there. It's been a disaster because one fine morning it works, then after that it doesn't work. Now what has happened, the net effect of that is all the properties on the other side, the Mtongwe side, have totally depreciated because the accessibility. accessibility is just not there.
Yeah.
So the second thing that happened, then they put in the floating bridge, which, by the way, was a big problem, but it also helped the people from those sides. Right now, being informed that they've shelved off that particular. I stand to be corrected. You might want to check with the relevant department whether they have permanently shelved it off. But as it stands right now, there is no floating bridge.
What do you mean?
The floating bridge was there at certain hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for it being there at certain hours was to try and decongest the main ferry.
Yeah.
So you do that at certain hours, and I'm told that right now they looked at the ships that want to come in. And whenever the ships come in, because the floating bridge is there, the ships have to be in abeyance.
Yeah.
They have to be
so
outside.
they held back for a while.
Exactly.
But Your Excellency, what's new? The ships were there when they were putting the floating bridge.
That is true.
Has the volume of ships increased to the point where...
Actually, no, it hasn't. The volume of ships is actually reduced. But
so are you saying, Governor, that Livatoni Bridge is not in operation this morning as we speak?
No, it's not.
Can we revisit what the
I was in Mtongwe. I was in Mtongwe 2 days ago. 2 days ago, someone who was close to me, someone who endorsed my campaign, passed away, and for me, because I had a meeting in my office, water transport is one of the best things that can ever happen to Mombasa. That's why we've advertised for water transport systems. And I had to go for the burial. Muslims bury instantly. So the person died and he had to be buried the same day. I had a meeting in my office, and my meeting took me till about around 12:30. The easiest way for me to get to Mtongwe was to go by sea. Now, as governor, I mean, I was given access. You know, you can be able to go by sea, but you can imagine if otherwise, it would have taken me, because of waiting for the ferry and everything else, and going the whole round around Mtongwe. It would probably taken me like about 45 minutes or so. This is a trip that took me like about from my office all the way to Mtongwe. I reached there in about 6 to 7 minutes. But even then, local entrepreneurs who own their own small boats, they came and approached me when I was there, and they said, Governor, they closed this, but in the process of closing this, we used to be allowed to
ferry
people. But what is the reason for the closure? This is the question. What was the reason for the closure?
What I'm being told, and I think this is best suited to be asked to the relevant guys who actually closed it. But I'm being told that the reason why they closed it was because of the fact that the waiting ship for time, that the ships were waiting was a bit too long.
Governor, maybe you want to come. That's poppycock. I mean, there were ships before, there are ships now. But let's move on.
When the whole thing was being designed initially,
there were ships.
At the design at that point, what was the reason why they had it put in the first place?
But by the way, it's not even that alone. You need to consider as well taxpayers' money was put into.
Sure.
Two, you need to also take into consideration that the taxpayers' money built a brand new ramp. There's a whole new landing ramp that was put up.
And people benefited from this, didn't they?
Yes, big time. In fact, I remember I was still a member of parliament, and the then member of parliament, and we raised this when I was the chair of the public investment. The ferry operated. I was there on the maiden trip, and then after that, they just stopped the ferry services.
Okay.
Back to the question then. The port.
Right. Can I take this back a bit to history?
Yes.
I remember when I was a member of parliament, beautiful thing about Hansard, it'll never ever be erased, especially now when we're in digital eras. But then, I mean, I was in Azimio. My party leader was and still is Raila Amolo Odinga. He was close to Uhuru. Uhuru is someone that I knew and I know on a personal level way before I got into politics. He's someone who supported me as well for my election bid. But there's some things that I stood on principle. And when they tried to bring in the issue of giving out CT2, it is yours truly who brought an amendment on the floor of the National Assembly. An amendment that I had to master the numbers in Parliament against all odds. And I won. I actually won in Parliament. This same amendment had to pass through the Senate. And I won. So mine was not rhetoric and just talking on public platforms. I literally won. And what I won was that no single person who owns shipping line should be able to run a terminal, because that was the whole idea that wanted to be done. The law returned back with presidential reservations. And what that means is that you need to garner. If you want to overturn a presidential reservation and commence, you need to garner not a simple majority, but almost 75% of all parliamentarians to vote against the president, which I failed to do at that time. But I mean, I oppose this and I oppose this.
Your conscience was clear.
And until today it is. For a long time, we have been talking about what does Mombasa stand to benefit from having a port. Hear me out.
Okay.
When you say Mombasa, you mean the county?
Yes.
Okay.
Hear me out. Go to the whole world, all port cities in the world. I've sat down and I've talked to mayors from all over the world who own these, who have ports. The city is interconnected to the port.
Yes.
In other parts, you've got even directorship levels where someone from the city, by the way, that used to be the case during municipal times, where a municipal person from the municipal was also sitting in the board of KPA. It used to be that way. And then things changed. Eventually, Mombasa was totally wiped out. So there's been this conversation of, can Mombasa be able to benefit? And by the way, again, I've seen some other people saying that, if that is going to be the case, then what about the airport? Someone who owns the airport here will say this and this and this. But you need to go with what is best practice in the whole world. The practice in the world, and there's a reason why. The port cannot be there in seclusion. It is intertwined, interconnected. There's social degradation that comes in with having a port in any city in the world, in any port city. There's always that social degradation. There's cultural degradation. This is the price. There's infrastructure degradation. You go to Miami, you go to Antwerp, you go to Rotterdam, you go to any of these, you go to some of the most advanced countries in the world. The port city will either have shares, will either be the owner of the port. And what we simply said, this narrative has been there. It's been politically used. And it's time now to say that enough of politics. If we truly want to get this done in the right way, there is a natural resource that is there in Mombasa. What are the people of Mombasa standing to benefit? Over and above all the other factors that I've talked about, the negative element to it. If we don't put in our word now, and if we don't have our stake in now, please tell me once, whether it is going to be an Arab, a Chinese, an American, or whoever else is going to take over, please tell me, what are the chances of Mombasa ever being kept on the table? If you don't do it now, when the players are two, national government and county government, please explain to me,
when there's a third player,
who has an international binding contract.
And how do you see this playing out?
I've seen this. I mean, look at the headlines right now. Government has denied claims of privatization. I mean, if there's one station that go to the issue of proverbs, if any one of you right now just go to Google and type the word concession, and you tell me what that means. Just type on your own. Eric, why don't you?
I'm doing that as we speak.
And you'll see one of the definitions of concession is to give up.
Yeah.
Concede.
Is to concede.
Concession, a thing that's granted especially in response to demands. The government was unwilling to make any further concessions. Or second one, a preferential allowance or rate given by an organization, tax concession. Simple concession, something allowed or given up, often in order to end a disagreement or the act of allowing or giving up something.
To concede is to give up. But anyway, that's not even the issue. You know, I want it to be on record. When I speak, and I'm truly blessed. I'm blessed enough that I'm not saying all, but a majority of the leadership within the area, we speak in the same voice. Not a simple majority, but a proper majority. We speak on the same voice. None of us is denying growth. Hear me out. Not a single one of us is saying that we are denying growth. Not a single one of us is saying that we are denying positivity. Not a single one of us is saying that, whatever is being brought is something that we're just, bashing for without a reason. The port, the economy of Mombasa, the livelihood of the people of Mombasa. You've got from the transporters to everyone else, everything is one way or the other aligned to the port. When the previous government, and you have to say it as it is, when they shut down operations, it had a major impact on the local economy, which right now till today people are still trying to recover from.
Yeah.
When you make decisions that are going to hamper one way or the other, question you need to ask yourself, were we making losses as a port? No. Has there been a feasibility that has been done? I've not seen one to indicate that you're actually going to be getting more.
That there is so just to make sure that I get you right, are you opposed to the idea of bringing in a private operator and giving them a concession to run the port of Mombasa?
I am opposed to the idea of bringing in someone without knowing what that person is coming to do. No one here, and you guys are in the media. I can assure you, even your colleagues who are in investigative journalism right now do not know the details.
So the
concern
you have is not the concept of concession.
No one at all is denying growth. I've said this not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. I've said this as well to the relevant people. But what I'm against, from the time of my father, people have been talking that the port needs to benefit the people of Mombasa. Hear me out. Then after that, we had in continuous members of parliament, there was no governor's position. This is a conversation that was there during the time of Hassan Ali Joho. it will not be on record that during the time of Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir is the one he kept quiet, na mambo ikaenda, na baada ikaenda, what is going to happen? No one is going to sign a concession agreement for less than 40 years. These guys are going to put in their money.
Yeah.
They're going to try and revamp a few issues. I'm assuming that is what is going to happen. So no one is going to come up with a concession for less than 40 years. And I'm giving that on a minimum level. That means my 10 years has to pass. The next governor who's going to come after me is going to say that, you see, that guy never said anything. If it was me, I would have truly fought for it. So that's another governor after me. Then the third governor after me is going to come and say, if that first governor after, the guy called Nasir, probably I'm way 6 feet under, hopefully at a better place. But someone's going to say the same thing. Then now a fourth one is going to come and say the same thing. Then the political circle is going to come after the fifth one who pops up and says, I will do what Abu Samad never did. Yeah, So my argument here is, and this, by the way, is not just mine alone, is the argument of the whole political leadership, that we've been having this conversation. It's high time. And you don't even have to give me an equation that tells me that Mombasa is going to benefit by trillions and trillions and trillions. But get us a foot in so that when I'm finished with my 10 years, the one who comes after me after 10 years renegotiates and gets something that is going to be better. The one who's going to come after that,
Governor, of what exactly you want.
Yeah. We need to know what is the stake of Mombasa in this whole thing.
And when you say stake, sorry, Governor, when you say stake, essentially we're talking about how the people of Mombasa County are going to benefit from any project here that is concerning the port. If there's going to be a privatization of the operationalization of the port, the people of Mombasa must benefit. Is that what you mean by stake?
It's not even just benefiting alone. We also need to know what are going to be the effects. What happens when these people who are given these services to do, and they say that, you know what, ours is going to be simple, as long as the goods are going to come in here, whoever uses our particular terminal is going to go straight to the SGR, the people of Mombasa, nyinyi munaiona port kwa nje peke yake. What happens when all these things are going to happen,
So what do you want then? You want a seat at the negotiating table?
What we want is to be told right now, I'm not even going to ask for a seat on the negotiating table, because you negotiate on an informed perspective. When you're not informed of what is currently going on. The first thing, by the way, when all this happened, I called in the members of parliament and I said, gentlemen, why don't you just, spruce up yourselves, what's happening? How can you let, and they told me, Governor, we thought you've been informed. We're not aware. And then I asked, but has there been any form of public participation? There was none. So you go on a negotiating table having been on an informed
from a point of information.
Yes. Right now, there is totally none. And our argument, when I came in, into office, I came up with a suggested law. And by the way, I passed it through all levels of public participation. When I say all levels, I mean including the taxpayers. To the extent that every single one of those people who are meant to pay literally said, Governor, we have faith in you, and it's minuted, and they're the ones who are paying, like the ones who've got the cargo and everything, they're the ones who are paying. They said, we're going to pay you $10 for every container that comes in. We have faith in you. We had the largest importers of loose cargo. Came to my office, we did a proper public participation. We negotiated figures. Car dealers, the association came to my office. We sat down. A proper, and we said $10 for every container that comes in, so we can be able, because there's infrastructure damage that is always brought. There's so much that is done. And then, of course, national government threw a spanner in the works. The Ministry of Transport said, no, this cannot be, it's unconstitutional. Despite the fact that the people who were meant to pay actually said, yes, we will pay. Forget about these issues of taxes being shoved down the throat. There are better ways. You liquidate and you grease people with incentives of what it is that you're going to do. And it went to the Attorney General, it went to the CS Finance. I was even threatened that, we will shut down all your funding that is part of your equitable share and everything. And all this is in writing. And I said, you know what? I truly did not get into this job. I fought my battles when I was a member of parliament for 10 years. Right now, I want to deliver. I really don't want to fight. And that's the reason why you'll never ever see me going out and shouting down at people or anything like that. I prefer being someone who is going to come up with solutions. That came to pass. I listened to all that. Has conversation been there? Verbal conversation has always been there. With everyone from all these departments and stakeholders. That yes, Governor, you're right. Yes, you're right. This is what happens all over the world. Yes, you're right. There is infrastructure. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. But Waswahili wanasema hakuna anayeandika na mate kama kuna wino. You need to show me not your spit and saliva to write. You need to show me the ink and the pen.
Excellency, can I ask you a question? There is a bill that was before the Senate, the Natural Resources Sharing Bill of 2022.
I think that was a private member's bill. It was not. It was not a government-sponsored bill. I looked at the bill.
Did it capture some of the things that you're saying here?
It actually did. But truth be told,
yes,
I don't think this government would even consider assenting to that. You can tell by trends. You can tell by how trends are.
Because if that bill did what bills are supposed to do and eventually became an act, then it would mean it's not just the port, it's every natural resource that this country has.
But sometimes you tend to wonder, what is the big issue? I mean, and by the way, I called them to congratulate them. My brother Mwadime managed. This is something that I fought with him when we were both members of parliament for Taita Taveta to be able to get a say and something from the park.
Yes.
Why? I mean, this is a guy who every single day, I remember we were both members of parliament, I would feel for him because every single day he'd come up with motions and statements and petitions and all sorts of things, the way animals are hurting the livelihood of his people, from endangering lives to killing to destroying of crops and all that. And the president came up with a resolution. He said, look, people need to share this kind of things. Same thing happened in Narok.
But you see, Mheshimiwa, the natural resource that Taita Taveta has in terms of minerals is vast.
I think the issue of the one for the minerals, there is already an act on that, and I believe it is at very, very advanced stages. In fact, they've been collecting royalties. National government has been collecting royalties. Right now, they're in the process of actually dispersing those royalties back. And the law is very clear what the county government is meant to take, and the law is equally very clear what various stakeholders amongst the community are meant to be able to get. So that the issue of minerals has been taken care of. There's actually an act on that. I'm aware of this because this was passed during my time as a member of parliament, and I'm equally aware of the status because it is something that was brought up in IBEC as well. But this one for the port, all we're saying is we need to be we cannot be using this as a political terminology every single year, and what we're saying is if we don't get a foot in now,
that's it.
That's it.
For at least 50 years.
Exactly, because whoever is going to come in and be a person who is going to be the one who's been given that concession. And again, when you say privatization, means you're selling it off.
Sure.
When you're saying concession, means that you're giving a lease.
A lease.
So,
which is which?
You've got a freehold and you've got
a leasehold.
A leasehold. And by the way, I'm repeating again. I'm repeating again and again. And I speak on behalf of a majority, not just a simple majority, a proper majority of the leadership, not just within Mombasa alone, but from the region as well. They speak the same language. I might not speak on their behalf right now, but the language being spoken is the same. And what we are simply saying is, what is our stake in the whole of this?
That's a greater question. One of the things you weighed into just recently, because I know our time is running down, you did weigh in and think, we heard your sentiments where you feel that Raila Odinga should run again in 2027 for the presidency. Why do you feel that? And what triggered that sentiment?
I think you need to do a poll on that. I mean, I wouldn't even want to get into that conversation much right now, because we're going to be speaking about Raila, and giving him 2 minutes is actually not fair on the man. But I mean, what I would do is I would ask Spice FM just to put up a small poll, an online or whatever poll that you're going to do, and ask, should Raila run again for presidency in 2027? And I'm sure a number of them will be in agreement with me.
In time, we'll ask that question. Governor, thank you very much for joining us. This conversation has just begun. This one on the port. We'll keep engaging with you and the other leaders to hear whether there is any form of response that you're getting. Asante.
Thank you very much.
No, this time it's not going to be after a quarter. It'll be before a quarter is over to have another conversation. We have not discussed the very many things that you said you'd do for Mombasa and the ones that you're doing. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir is the governor of Mombasa County. He's been our guest this morning. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. Do have yourselves a lovely day. It's 10 a.m. See you tomorrow.
Spice up your life